Very well. Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya on this beautiful day that we are here once again with you so that we can get going and build our nation in all the respective ways that we can. How are you doing? Still a cold did I say?
You just said, you almost said Monday.
How are you still on Monday? It's Wednesday, Victor. It's a Wednesday. Monday,
it's
Tuesday,
Wednesday.
Vivian.
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Good morning. All right, so we are still on the political scene. Kenya is consuming a lot of politics on a daily basis, and I think we need to be taxed hugely or heavily because we consume a lot of politics. But are we going to tax us for consuming politics? Because people who are feeding us on that are the politicians. But nevertheless, that is how we live in this country. Today on The Viewpoint, I want us to take a look basically on what does Wanjiku want now that there are so many things happening, you know, in the executive, in the political arena. Politicians are doing what they know best. But then, what does Wanjiku want? That is the question. So it's all about Sasa Trumpet, Tarumbeta, all right? The Sasa Trumpet, what does Wanjiku want? What do you want from the politicians? Yes, the 10-point agenda was signed last week, but then what do you want? All right, what do you want? That's a discussion I'll be having at exactly 7 a.m. with my guest I'll be having. Wilson Sossion is a former nominated member of parliament. He's not new to Jerusalem here. Brian Oduor is also a political analyst, also not new to Jerusalem. And Kevin Osido, the executive director of the County Governors Watch. That is what we should be expecting. And another lady, Salma Ochieng. She is our Wakili, High Court of Kenya. So let's do that at exactly 7. Vivian.
Good morning.
It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Yes.
It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, a bit chilly outside, but no rains in the capital, that is Nairobi. And you know, with the political segment, with the political scene rather, at the moment, a lot is happening. So a lot is to be unpacked, a lot still coming up. So I'm sure Victor will be getting into all of that. Now, today being a Wednesday, you are just in time for Good Morning Kenya, where we bring you, you know, everything that is happening. We bring you matters concerning the country and everything that is generally just happening in terms matters political and things to do with different things, you know, different conversations. This is where you get to get into all of that. And today, for me, today is just a word, probably a word of encouragement or a word to give that push. And my word is, but what if it all works out? Do it. We're not here long enough. We're not here for too long. Whatever it is that you've been setting aside, you know you want to do it. There's that business that you've always been wanting to start. You know, there's that project that you know you have the proposals ready, but you're just afraid to go ahead and pitch it to the person that you need to pitch it to. Maybe you've been thinking about relocating. Maybe it's even starting a new relationship, whatever it is. Just go ahead and do it, because what if it works out? Yeah. Morning,
just to begin.
Just start.
That's
go ahead
loaded.
and do it.
That's loaded.
Yeah.
Good morning, Vivian. It's very loaded. What if it works out? That's something to ponder to. Welcome to the program. My name is Mike. Maybe this is Good Morning Kenya. And as I always say, this is the gold standard of starting your day, and we are glad that you are watching. Remember, you can be part of the conversations happening right here on Good Morning Kenya. We are at KBC Channel 1 on all our social media platforms. Our website is at www.kbc.co.ke. You can visit there and see for yourself and be part of what is happening, not only here in Good Morning Kenya, but also on the entire KBC stable. Good morning, Marie.
A very good morning to you, Mike, Victor, and Vivian. Victor, it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, not Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
You got it?
Time imerudi nyuma sana.
You did get it? It's Wednesday, not
Right.
Wednesday.
I got you.
I thought you come from Canada. But all the same, a very good morning from wherever you're tuning in. My name is Mariambo. I'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in the news. And coming up on the news this morning, UDA-ODM partnership expected to cure the SHA headache and ease taxation burden, says Raila Odinga. And President Ruto launches projects in Nairobi's Mathare area and drums up support for the broad-based government. And 37-year-old Kenyan woman, Duta Masharia, handed a death sentence in Vietnam. Why? Well, stay tuned to get to know more. All that coming up in this particular bulletin, including business and sports. So we begin with the President tour of Nairobi, where President William Ruto continued his working tour in the capital, Nairobi, ramming up support for the government's alliance with the Orange Party. In the second day of his tour, he pitched tent in Mathare, where he urged Kenyans to shun divisive politics. The head of state also launched the construction of an 800-bed dormitory at St. Teresa's Secondary School, even as he hailed the school feeding program, dubbed Dishi na County program by Nairobi County Government.
Two of his developmental tour in the capital. President William Ruto, alongside his deputy and a host of leaders from Nairobi, camped in Mathare constituency.
Mathare hoye! Vijana wa Mathare mmenielewa?
The first stop was St. Teresa's Secondary School, where he launched the construction of an 800-bed dormitory.
Mimi nawapenda sana. Mimi na Walombotok. Asante sana kwa kunikaribisha.
It is here that he hailed Nairobi County Government's Dishi County school feeding program, which currently benefits over 316,000 learners. He pledged to support the learners' request for an expanded food menu to include chapatis.
Sasa ndapika chapati milioni 1. Nitaomba rais anisaidie na machine ya kutengeneza chapo. Ndio hiyo.
Ninunue machine ya kutengeneza chapo. Na nimekubali nitamnunulia machine ya kutengeneza chapo. Sasa wewe gavana, tafuta mahali ya kununua mashini ya kutengeneza chapo milioni 1.
The head of state further rallied support for the recently signed agreement with the ODM leader Raila Odinga.
Hiyo maneno munajua tulikubaliana na Raila Odinga na Wakenya wengine wote tutembee safari moja kama wananchi wa Kenya. Na mimi najua ya kwamba Nairobi inasema yes, tuende mbele, tuunganishe Kenya, tuondoe ubaguzi, tuondoe chuki, tuzalishe Kenya ambayo iko na umoja ya Wakenya wote.
He urged Kenyans to shun divisive politics and support development.
Tumekubaliana kama Kenya, hatutaki tena siasa ya ukabila na chuki na migawanyiko. Tunataka tuungane kama watu wa taifa moja, tukabiliane na changamoto za Kenya, tuzalishe chakula ya kutosha, tuondoe njaa, tuzalishe nafasi ya ajira ya kutosha, tuhakikishe vijana wetu wako na ajira, na tuzalishe uchumi, tuondoe umaskini, Kenya iweze kusonga mbele.
Ili nchi yetu isonge mbele, lazima tuwe nchi moja, taifa moja, tuachane na ubaguzi wa vyama, ya ukabila, ya dini, tuwe taifa moja.
During the developmental tour, the president also inspected the construction of 12 classrooms at Mbatini Primary School, TVET College, launched a last-mile electricity connectivity project, Mathare Affordable Housing Project, inspected construction of Mathare Modern Gateway Market, launched the construction of classrooms at Mathare North Secondary School, and commissioned the Deputy County Commissioner's Office in Mathare North. He is expected to continue his city tour on Wednesday.
Watu wa Mathare, muwe na affordable housing, muweze kuishi katika mazingira mazuri, tuondoe slums na tuhakikisha kwamba kila Mkenya anapata nafasi katika mji wa Nairobi na katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Of course, we'll be bringing you live coverage of that as the president continues his tour of the capital city, Nairobi. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has defended his decision to collaborate with President William Ruto, saying it was driven by a commitment to resolve critical national issues, including the controversial Social Health Authority, SHA, and the heavy taxation burden. Speaking at a funeral service in Kiambu County, Raila dismissed criticism over his cooperation with the president. He said the president approached him to help stabilize the nation.
Raila Odinga's cooperation with President William Ruto has been met with criticism from a section of Kenyans, but the ODM leader is not backing down.
Watu wengi wanapiga kelele hapa na pale, oh, Raila ameenda kwa Ruto, ametuacha. Mimi sijaenda kwa Ruto. Ruto amekuja kwangu.
Speaking publicly for the first time about the backlash, Raila defended his decision, insisting his signing a framework of cooperation with the president was born out of a necessity to address pressing national concerns.
Mambo matibabu yuko na shida. Hii mambo ya SHA haifanyi kazi. Mpaka irekebishwe, si ndio irekebishwe? Sivyo? Hii mambo ya ushuru ambayo wananchi wanatozwa ni juu sana. Hata hii ya nyumba hizi.
At a funeral service in Kiambu County, the former Prime Minister family refuted claims that his partnership with President was politically motivated ahead of the 2027 elections.
Uchaguzi itakuja mwaka 2027. Hapo wananchi wataamua wenyewe. Lakini kutoka hapa mpaka pale hatutaki wananchi wetu wazidi kuumia.
Raila assured that the president was committed to implementing the resolutions the two leaders agreed upon.
Na amekuja upande yetu, mimi nikasema tufanye mambo marekebisho haya yote. Mnaona yale tumeandika maneno 10 yote ni yale tumekuwa tunadai, na wakasema watatimiza. Sasa tumesema tunapatia hao fursa ya kufanya hayo ili yarekebishwe.
The ODM leader emphasized that his fight for the rights of Kenyans had not changed, and that while some may disagree with his approach, he would rather be part of the solution than remain on the sidelines.
President William Ruto has announced plans to construct the Bomas International Convention Complex starting in the next 2 weeks. Speaking at a cabinet meeting yesterday, the president said the complex will be a major milestone in the government's plan to transform the facility into a world-class conferencing hub. If implemented, it will become Kenya's second international convention center after KICC.
While chairing the cabinet meeting Tuesday morning, President William Ruto said the upgrading of the Bomas of Kenya to Bomas International Convention Center will redefine its look, feel and purpose, and positioning it as a premier destination for global events. When implemented, it will become Kenya's second international convention center after KICC. The cabinet also directed the finalization of the construction framework and the groundbreaking of the 170-kilometer 4-lane Rironi-Mau Summit Road by June 1st, 2025. The project aims at upgrading the road from a two-way single carriageway to a 4-lane dual carriageway to improve traffic flow from Nairobi through Nakuru to Western Kenya. The project is set for completion within 24 months with a target date of June 2027. To enhance public health and safety, the cabinet also approved a nationwide asbestos roof removal initiative. Asbestos has been classified as a human carcinogen and is linked to severe health conditions, including lung cancer. The National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, will oversee the safe removal, disposal, and handling of asbestos, while owners will foot the cost. Government buildings, hospitals, and schools, going way back to 1970s, are likely to be affected. In a move to address youth unemployment, the cabinet endorsed the internship and volunteer policy and guidelines for the public service, providing a standardized framework to streamline the recruitment, engagement and management of interns and volunteers across government institutions.
On minor reporting there. The National Assembly leadership has put a section of select committee chairs on the spot over alleged misuse of power and public resources. At the center of the storm is the Budget and Appropriations Committee, whose term has lapsed, but where funds for public participation did not reach their constituencies.
A day remaining for the National Assembly to conclude on the elections of chairperson and vice chairpersons of 18 select committees whose term has lapsed. A section of former committee chairpersons have been called out of alleged misuse of powers and resources. On Tuesday, a section of MPs decried unfairness and skewed disbursement of funds allocated for public participation under the purview of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, led by Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro.
A guillotine, Honorable Speaker, was placed on public participation, and which has disadvantaged Vihiga as a county plus other counties, which if they are here, they should speak on this. And the monies that otherwise were put in public participation genuinely, not these other monies that is an addition that is not known where it's going to, where you will find that one constituency is having monies up to 1 billion for public participation. No, Honorable Speaker, that was not part of the real public participation that was instrumented in the Constitution.
The House Leadership Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and his minority counterpart Junet Mohammed said the Budget and Appropriations Committee had been allocated 2 billion shillings, but was added 10 billion shillings, and the money was diverted.
What is more worrying, Honorable Speaker, is that if the entire 12 billion shillings went to the counties that were slated in for the public participation exercise, then there will be no problem. The problem has come because it is people who have vested interest in those committees where they sit in that then use that opportunity to put projects in their own constituencies and counties far from what was intended by the public participation, Honorable Speaker.
The Budget and Appropriation Committee of this House has reached to the level where the chair of that committee, Mr. Speaker, now, members of Parliament are going to his constituency for benchmarking, Mr. Speaker. Benchmarking. And all of us are supposed to receive the same amount of NGD CDF, Mr. Speaker. What is making our members to go and benchmark in our colleague's constituency, Mr. Speaker? Because the colleague is receiving more funding because of him being the chairman of the budget committee. Let's be honest to Kenyans. Which member of parliament here can afford through his NGCDF to build classrooms, plaster them, put windows, put roof, put tiles in the classroom, cabros in the... Mr. Speaker, which member of parliament can afford to do that here with a mere resources of 100 million shillings, Mr. Speaker?
As MPs prepare to elect new committee chairs and the vice chairs, call for fairness and accountability prevailed.
We have now reconstituted a new Budget and Appropriations Committee. Let me be on record, it will not be business as usual. This House will not sit back and allow members who sit in the Budget and Appropriations Committee to use the position they hold in that committee to appropriate money to only their constituencies at the expense of other Kenyans.
Members of the National Assembly have pleaded with their counterparts at the Senate and the Council of Governors to allow the county government's additional allocations bill to be passed. The bill flopped last year after senators amended it, adding 10 billion shillings for roads and maintenance levy fund.
Thank you, Gladys Mungai. The government says it has addressed major challenges experienced in the new competency-based curriculum that was introduced in 2019. Speaking during the ongoing competency-based curriculum public participation in Mombasa, Basic Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang assured stakeholders of a smooth transition for the first cohort to senior secondary school.
Public participation that sought to engage stakeholders across the country on the journey, progress, and achievements of the new competency-based curriculum since its inception in 2019 kicked off. Leading the CBC public participation in Mombasa, Basic Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang was keen to highlight that the loopholes that existed have slowly been addressed.
We envisage to do another 7,000 classrooms so that now, by the end of this term, by the time we close school, we shall have finished 22,000 classrooms.
We will be seeking a partnership between the upper schools so that when we're setting these water units there, there can also be piping that can go to the ECD, and there'll be piping that will go to the primary, so that one entity can be able to serve all those student population that is there.
He said that the ministry is working closely with the National Treasury to make sure the second tranche of capitation is availed to schools to facilitate pending bills.
I can give them our word that we are at the tail end of ensuring that that resource is dispersed to them.
The more than 1.2 million learners in grade 9 expected to sit for Kenya Primary School Education Assessment in November this year are expected to be promoted to a senior secondary school based on their career choices, abilities and interest.
And the family of a 37-year-old Kenyan woman, Nduta Macharia, is facing a death sentence in Vietnam, is pleading for government intervention to secure their kin a lesser sentence. Nduta was convicted on Thursday, March the 6th, after being found guilty of possessing 2 kilograms of cocaine and was given only 7 days to appeal against her death sentence. Her family is now appealing to the government to help save her life.
Purity Wangari is a mother in distress. Her life has been turned upside down ever since she learnt of her daughter Nduta Macharia's 2 years incarceration and an impending execution to be carried out in Ho Chi Minh City of Vietnam, where she was arrested in possession of 2 kilograms of heroin.
Akapata matibabu shida ya kushikwa ni hiyo country igine Vietnam, alafu na akapelekwa kotini akahukumiwa kunyongwa.
Tears flowing down the cheeks of the 63-year-old mother as she desperately stares at her convicted daughter's photo.
Munisaidie, muniletee huyo msichana huku, alafu mkitaka kumfuga mumfugie huku.
According to court documents, Nduta was arrested in July 2023 while on transit to Laos, where she claimed to have been hired by a man only known as John from Kenya to deliver a suitcase to another woman. She is said to have confessed to receiving a payment of $1,300 or 167,000 shillings from John, who also paid her air tickets. Residents of Waithaga in Murang'a County have joined the family in pleading with the government to bring back Nduta and charge her in the country should she be found guilty.
Na sisi ombi letu ni moja kwa serikali ikiongozwa na the Ministry of Foreign Affairs led by our minister, that is the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, that you can do your intervention na huyo msichana wetu ambaye ni Nduta aweze kurudi katika hii nchi yetu ya Kenya.
In other news, police officers in Keses, Uasin Gishu County, are investigating a bizarre situation where a man was found operating an illegal police post in the region. The suspect, who has since been identified as Collins Leitich alias Chepkulei, a resident of Assis village, established the station by painting a building in Chesos Center in police force colors resembling an official patrol base.
Imagine police officers in their normal patrols bumping into a well-painted police post that they had no idea existed. That was the bizarre situation in Chaborbor Center, Keses Sub-County in Uasin Gishu County. The suspect, Collins Leitich, well known as Chepkulei, perhaps took the phrase "security starts with you" a little bit too far, after he allegedly established this police patrol base in the area without authorization. Chepkulei allegedly took it upon himself to establish the police patrol base at this building and went as far as painting the structure in official police colors, creating the impression of a legitimate security post.
Tuletewe polisi hapa, hii nyumba wakuje tu kwa muda, tunapotafuta mahali pa kujengewa polisi, wakuje kwanza watusaidie hapa. wakuje wafanye kazi kwa hii ofisi ambayo imetengenezwa.
The revelation of the privately owned police post by authorities has elicited mixed reactions from residents.
Sioni makosa kama itakombolewa hii nyumba. Hata sisi tulikuwa tumechukua maoni ngine sisi kwa watu ya biashara. Tukasema hata hii maaskari yakikuja hapa tunaweza janga pesa tunalipia hao kila mwezi hii ofisi. Sasa sababu tunalipanga wajman pesa mingi.
Authorities are now trying to unravel the duration in which the fake police station had been in operation, whether any locals were arrested or processed in the station, and if the suspect had any accomplices.
The community approached the local OCS, the local OCPP at Kamuyo Police Post in whose jurisdiction hiyo area iko, wakitaka kuwa na 30 patrol base. But before you could escalate to the OCPD, to the county commander, then he entered to the regional commander, mpaka police headquarters. Nafikiri wananchi kwa ile amu ya kutaka usalama haraka wakapaint one of the buildings within the police, the Charus Trading Center iwe kama a police patrol base.
This is even as questions linger among residents on the extent of the insecurity gap in the region, following the establishment of the privately owned police station without the knowledge or authorization of the National Police Service.
Hatuna police station hapa around. Mtu akikosewa ama aipiwe vitu yake za hizi hapa ni mahali ataripoti ni Kamoyo, 2 kilometers away from here.
I look at business now, where the Controller of Budget says the underfunding of her office is likely to jeopardize the ability to fulfill its mandate effectively. Controller of Budget Dr. Margaret Nyakango told the Finance and Budget Committee of the Senate that persistent underfunding has hampered staff recruitment and retention, as well as limiting the capacity to monitor public expenditure. Dr. Nyakango says even though her office proposed a budget of 1.6 billion shillings, legislators have slashed it by more than a half to 777.5 million shillings.
To have one extra officer at the county so that there are 2. These officers in the counties cannot even take annual leave. Hawezi enda leave. They are there all year round because it is just one officer.
The county executive members are wasting a lot of time in Nairobi trying to get exchequer release process. They normally say they live in Nairobi, and this is very critical, even on your part, to be able to inform the general public on how well that process is undergoing.
There is lack of capacity building of these officers, which, as you have seen, has been allocated 0. Then we need automation. Automation has been allocated 0. So how are we going to improve the speed of exchequer requisition?
And wish that my colleagues will sincerely, I think for the first time, let us just make sure that we are able to give you the tools which are going to help you make sure that you fight this fight we are fighting.
The issue of foreign travel.
Yes.
I don't know why you're being apologetic, or you appear, when you're asking for money for foreign travel. How will you bring our office to the same standard with the best world practices if you don't interact with them?
Chair, I support the proposal that the personal emoluments be enhanced so that they can motivate the staff that are doing a very good job in terms of protecting public funds.
I look at sports now, where the Cabinet has approved the hosting of the 2025 World Rally Championship WRC Safari Rally, set to take place from the 20th to the 23rd of this month in Naivasha, that is in Nakuru County. The 2025 edition has attracted a star-studded field of 39 drivers, including defending champion Kalle Rovanperä of Finland, reigning World Rally champion Thierry Neuville, current leader Elfyn Evans, and Estonia's or Tanak, with the Africa Rally champion Karan Patel and Carl Tundo leading the Kenyan charge in the RC2. Additionally, the cabinet was briefed on the progress of the Talanta Hela Stadium at Jamhuri Park in Nairobi, which is now 40% complete. Once finished, the 60,000-seater stadium will be Kenya's largest, with the government aiming for completion by the end of the year. The last stadium of this scale to be built in Kenya was the Moi International Sports Center Kasarani 45 years ago, making Talanta Hela a landmark achievement in the country's sporting history. Well, and that's where we come to a close in as far as the news is concerned. Thank you so much, as always, for your company. My name is Mariambo. I'll be giving room to my colleague, that is Victor Lo. He'll be taking you through the viewpoint.
The FIFA World Cup 2026 Africa qualifiers match schedule is up for match day 5. In Group F, the Gambia will host Harambee Stars on Thursday, 20th of March from 10 p.m.
Shown, and which may show here. And yes, the breakthrough's there for Kenya.
Catch the action live from Alassane Ouattara Stadium in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, live and exclusive. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Wellness is important in our daily lives, so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. People they don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Mshtakiwa, nifahamishe majina yako kamili.
Kwani hiyo wakati yote tumekaa hapa hivi umeniita majina, haujajua hata jina yangu hata saa hii mwezi. Who is receptionist?
Ni mimi.
Ili rest in peace.
Nani rest in peace?
Sorry, my condolences mheshimiwa.
Bebe nini?
Ni wewe naongelesha
wewe. Ongea kile unaelewa, acha kutupotezea wakati.
Nikisema kwamba huyu ndiye alitoka na hizo vitu ndani ya room, nitafanya sasa ni wangu majibiwa. Nilikwambia kesi ni ngogo. Nilikwambia hiyo karatasi imepikwa warning can.
Mtu asiende na follow boss kwa room yake. Lakini maanishi wewe ufuate follow boss.
I'm talking. So, what are you looking for me? What are you looking for me?
Mimi anatafutia wewe nini?
right, great. Welcome back. Good morning. It's time for us to get into the political segment and talk about what's happening across the country in as far as politics is concerned. It's been a busy week, so to speak. Politicians, doing their thing. And that is how we also want to take that position as Kenyans and citizens, just to try and interrogate and understand what is in store. So today, I want us to talk about something. Politicians are doing their bit, but what about Wanjiku? All right? So this is called Sasa Trumpet. Roger Tarumbeta. It can be so loud. So this is Sasa Trumpet today. What does Wanjiku want? That is my topic of discussion. Sasa Trumpet, what does Wanjiku want? From whichever part of the country you are watching us from. I'll open my call lines later on. And please tell me, what do you really need from the government? It doesn't matter from which political wing you're in, but what do you really need as a citizen? Do you feel that your demands, your needs, your desires, are being met by the leadership of the day, people who are elected or who are in different positions? Do you feel that your needs are being taken care of? What is most urgent as we speak? My numbers are 0716103301, 0716103301. Not yet. I'll tell you when to start calling. But right about now, my guests are already in studio. All right. I'll introduce them very shortly, but let me take you through the front page of the local dailies. Let me start with Daily Nation. On the front page of the Daily Nation, this is what I have. Ruto man opens up on 123 million shillings spying software. Ruto man opens up on 123 million shillings spying software. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Still on the front page, Raila says that it is Ruto who came for me. It is Ruto who came for me. The pact aimed at solving country problems, and that is what is on the front page of the Daily Nation. State wants extra 32 billion shillings for covered security operations. That is what is here on the front page of the Daily Nation. Still, something that I know Mr. Sosion will be very much interested. I think this is to, again, pay rise for teachers in TAC's 17 billion shillings extra budget. Pay rise for teachers in TAC's 17 billion shillings extra budget. The Teachers Service Commission is seeking parliamentary approval for 17 billion shillings to, among others, implement the second phase of the 2021-2025 collective bargaining agreement. Something for the teachers to smile about. And again, something for you as a Kenyan to smile about generally. Finally, the Rironi Mau Summit project to begin in June. That road, the construction is expected to be completed in June 2027. For those people who've been flying, the Nairobi, Naivasha, Nakuru, Rironi, all that aside heading to the western side of Kenya, that western circuit, you know how that road can be a mess. Mostly during holidays. That even happened a few months ago. That is during Christmas holiday. People spend days on that road. But as we speak, we are ready for that road to be constructed starting June. That is to be completed again in 2027, which is a good thing for the country. So on the front page, Ruto man opens up on 223 million shillings spying software. Mr. Eric Ngeno, President William Ruto's speechwriter, has claimed that tycoon Jayesh Saini's prodding triggered a fallout with the Kenyan-Canadian Mary Washuka over a multi-million shillings spying software. Mr. Ngeno is fighting off a compensation claim by the businesswoman. We'll take a look at that shortly. On the front page of the Star newspaper, Wetangula MPs accuse a CS of fighting Barasa. Wetangula MPs accuse a CS of fighting Barasa. Bungoma MPs rally to the defense of Health Cabinet Secretary. And now that is on the front page of the Star newspaper. There you have it. All right. Yeah, for the sake of verification, that is what is here. There on this front page, there is a story here, a plea for help. A family is now pleading for help as their daughter on death row in Vietnam. Over their daughter on death row in Vietnam. Help daughter on death row in Vietnam pleads family. That is on July 2023, 37-year-old Margaret Nduta bid her family goodbye, and I think a lot of things happened, and now she's on death row in Vietnam. The family is seeking for help. And finally, on the front page of the Standard, Raila grows cold feet. Okay. Raila grows cold feet. Days after signing a deal with the government, opposition leader Raila Odinga is sending mixed signals about the agreement. In response to vocal displeasure from his supporters and ODM leaders giving Ruto's Nairobi tour a wide berth, Raila appears to be backtracking, saying that they entered into the pact for the sake of citizens and should be judged in 2027. Opinions are now divided on this shift in tone, and it remains to be seen how it will be received. But that is forming a part of a discussion this morning. All right. Again, another story here, salary shocker for workers joining SHA. Staff deployed to the Social Health Authority from the now defunct NHIF are reportedly demoralized following huge salary cuts. And finally, sunroof politics, Ruto engages in early campaigns. That's the story on the front page of the Standard newspaper. I have got 3 gentlemen and 1 lady on set. Let me start with the lady. So sio nitabidi mtulia kidogo. Yes. Lest we be, you know, she's a lawyer, so we have to be very careful. The only lady in the room. Gender equality. Otherwise, you'll not get it easy. And 2/3.
The only lawyer.
We won't get it easy.
Is a panel constitutionally constituted?
Is it?
We are Kenyans.
No, 2/3. Is it? The panel is.
This is a third. This is a quarter. If you want accurate mathematics, it's a quarter.
Yeah, I see that. Hey. Salvo Chieng is a lawyer and also a political analyst. She is not new to Jerusalem. Welcome, Salma.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Pauline Sosion is a former nominated member of parliament and also not new to Jerusalem. Sosion, good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
There's a story here about teachers. Are you happy? This is the time you wish you still went back to class. 17 billion shillings extra budget.
This is wishing to go back to class. There is upward mobility. Yeah. Where I am,
yes,
I am happy. But 17 billion, this is a sheer testimony that Kenya Kwanza administration,
yes,
which signed a manifesto and which recognized, which signed actually a charter with educators. The president himself signed on 23rd June 2022 and underscored the need to respect collective bargaining agreements and to recognize teachers. And by the dint of that clause alone, he has been able to award teachers and civil servants a salary rise of close to 44 billion in 2 financial years. And what is in the supplementary budget is the final conclusion of the last phase of the award by the KK administration, which of course has been paid from 1st of July this year, but then it's contained in that supplementary.
Would you just hold that thought? Just hold it. I'll give you time. I'll give you time so that to get into it.
Okay.
I promise. I promise to give you time.
We have not even introduced ourselves. That was
You're already making your opening remarks.
That doesn't stop you.
Yeah.
The host.
For the benefit of Kenyans, this is for the teachers. There's a salary raise for teachers in TSC 17 billion shillings extra budget. The 10.2 billion shillings to be used to implement the second phase of the 2021-2025 CBA and 4.9 billion shillings for health insurance. There's another one, 1.8 billion shillings, which will be used to hire interns to secure permanent jobs. So I think we'll be getting more details later on with, of course, Osion here. Executive Director of County Governors Watch, Kevin Osido, also in the studio. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning to you.
The counties are good right now?
Pardon?
Counties are doing fine.
We hope so, but not yet. Lots of back and forth, particularly with the promises that have not been met, that have neither been met nor fulfilled, ranging from the full devolution of functions, payment to county governments. We have a lot of concerns on pending bills, and there's a lot of traction as always. Unfortunately, not so much of fulfilling of those promises. And ultimately, the citizens want services to be delivered, but we are hoping that with God's blessings of rains, we will be able to have at most levels of food in our granaries, and that citizens, despite the state of the economy, will be motivated to want to go to their farms. And that ultimately, government subsidies, particularly on fertilizers, extension farmers, and also officers, will be able to support the farmers in the counties.
Yeah. Good. I think that's some good way to go. Brian?
Yes,
good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you again, Mr. Olo.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Dago?
Dago ni yetu kama kawa. Hata leo najua namba 1 anatembea huko, so tumalize nikaongea na wananchi wenzangu.
Very good. Today he is touring the hood.
Yes.
Ungekuja tu hivi bana. You know,
mtanifuata, I'm lying to.
Be a good man. Be a good man.
Okay,
all right. Yes. And I think that is a good way to go, because for the past few days the president has been traversing the county of Nairobi, taking a look, basically opening different projects and overseeing the ongoing projects and initiating them, some of them, just to inspect what is happening. But the question I want to put out there for you, gentlemen and lady, starting with you again, Salma, what do you think is the pulse of the nation? We've been treated to a lot of this and that. Yesterday, Raila Odinga also threw another bait into the water. So what is the pulse of the nation as we speak? As we get into it, Sasa Trumpet, what does Mwananchi want? What does Wanjiku want?
Thank you, Victor. I think from where I sit and from what Wanjiku has been demanding is service delivery. And when we speak to service delivery, I'm glad that Honorable Sosion here has spoken to the charters that were signed when the Kenya Kwanza administration was coming into the formation of this government. And those charters that were signed amongst the various bodies that the president of the Kenya Kwanza administration got to interact with were reduced into a manifesto that was launched. And that particular manifesto is what we call the plan. So the implementation of the plan that we gave to Kenyans is what Kenyans want to see has been actualized. And when you ask me, is it being implemented? Is it being actualized?
Yes.
Sosion here has spoken to the fact that, you know, we are moving into the right direction. And he has spoken to the issue of teachers and the many other professional groups. Brian has spoken to the fact that the president will be in Dagoretti today to meet with Mwananchi, so that we can see the status of the projects or the development plan that was initiated since the taking off of this administration. What has been done? Where are we? The status of everything project. So Mwananchi, from where Mwananchi sits, you know, accountable leaders, leaders that are present, and I believe from where I sit, so far so good. I've seen, I don't know whether there's a clip to what you have just read about the Honorable Raila on, you know, what, saying that it is the president. It is the president who came to me and not me going to him. I believe the joint framework that was signed last week between the two parts communicates so much to the unity and to what Kenyans want to see being done by the two formations. So for me, we are on the right path, and I wait to hear what Kevin wants to say.
No, but why me? Yeah, why me? Of course,
he's giving you a toast. Go ahead.
Of course,
she's giving a toast.
Salma knows that, and I think that's why she's making very special reference to my end of the table, that my responsibility is to try and exercise on behalf of the citizen accountability, and really to ask for status of things insofar as what the charter is, what the plan is, what the manifesto is, and among those many planning documents.
Yes.
Fact of the matter, Victor, is that vitu kwa ground, Salma says things are very good, but the truth of the matter is that things are not very good. That is why some Kenyans will set up police stations, because security in those areas are not working, you know. That is why the president would want to move around launching projects that have been launched, some of them 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago by himself. That is why the president would be concerned to want to seek for help from an official opposition leader, because he is aware that borrowing from the Gen Z demonstrations and really Kenyans movements in last year in June, the state of affairs and the state of the nation is not good. And that is why, for example, you see some Kenyans, or a majority or a sample of Kenyans walking into cabinet secretary offices to demand for health systems to work. That is why principal secretaries and cabinet secretaries will go on national television. Some of them reported on newspapers saying, we know that these systems are not working, but we are still planning to work on them. So 3 years down a government that had a lot of promises, Victor, it would be falsity for us to imagine that things are working. Of course, from certain quarters, depending on where you stand, it would be fine to imagine that things are working. But Kenyans are demanding for more. What Wanjiku wants is not too much talk, is not too much visitation. In fact, in my view, the president needs to take some time to just sit in some corner and imagine what he has been able to deliver. These forays are too much, Victor. The visitations, the travels, the transits, they are extreme. What Kenyans want to see is not a aberration of narratives. Ruto must go, Raila must go. I don't think that is what Kenyans are looking for. Kenyans want service delivery. Kenyans want systems that are working. Kenyans want these promises that Salma and Mheshimiwa Sosion and Brian is talking about here to be able to be verifiable and to be touched, so that vitu kwa ground are fit. But to a level where we will continue to be thrown at narratives and agreements and understandings, very high level politicians still arguing over who invited the other and who did not invite the other, who sought help from who and who did not seek help. I think those are political narratives whose time will come. But as things stand right now, the Kenyan citizen is asking for more, and they are demanding for the things that the government promised them. And this is the pact that was signed on the day of the voting. And they said, okay, you have won this seat. Some people went to the Supreme Court. The president even was able to deal with the issues at the Supreme Court, and he was declared the winner of the 2022 general election. So really, why can't we take time to just deliver those services and be honest and truthful with Kenyans, so that when something is not working, tell Kenyans, don't push it down the throats of Kenyans. As I finish on this, I see Brian is really itching to come in. Remember, as this clip that Salma is talking about again is one where Mheshimiwa Raila was saying that he knows that things are not working, he knows that SHA has a problem, but it is not him who sought the president. It is the president who sought for his help. And the president has not distanced himself from this kind of a story. He has continuously reminded Kenyans that yes, things were not working in my house, and I went to the former Prime Minister Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga to seek for help. So you want to see this handshake of helpage really being of assistance and being of delivery, and being one that Kenyans can be able to touch at least something. And we hope that, Victor, that Kenya Kwanza government will come to the realization that elections are actually coming very soon. We'll be headed to another election. What will the president tell Kenyans? And ultimately, by constitution, he will have served, for example, if he goes up to the 10 years I hear people talking about, what kind of legacy does President William Ruto want to leave for Kenyans? I'm sure
Yes.
it is not one for a president who was asked to leave office. You know, Ruto must go. I'm sure it is not a legacy
Award
of
is enough
handshakes.
for the wise.
I am
He's
sure that
pointed to
Victor,
me.
it is not one where he'll be, where the president will continue to remind us about the failures
Thank
that
you.
we are ready to continue
More to come.
see.
Very well.
as government.
Well,
opening remarks. Yes. Brent.
Award is important and award is enough for the wise. Let's touch about what you've spoken about, my friend Kevin. Vitu kwa ground. You cannot talk about vitu kwa ground while ignoring facts and history. We as ODM MPs rejected both finance bill of 2023 and 2024. In fact, by the time parliament was being invaded, we were already outside of parliament in protest. The people who are found in parliament are today the people who are shouting themselves hoarse, trying to liberate Kenyans from the same very problems they created. So when Right Honorable Raila Odinga is trying to talk about who came to who, he's only trying to highlight facts and history. Let's not ignore that. And another point is that there seems to be a narrative of that these liberators, let me call them pseudo-liberators, are coming here to solve some kind of problem. Let's ask ourselves an important question. Who brought these problems? It is they, the very same people that you see today, while in power for 2 years, they brought these problems. Now we in ODM understand the importance of power. They had power and they used it for themselves. And you can't help the powerless if you're powerless too. So what do? Step one, get into power. And once we get into power, we are not here to proliferate the seemingly ills that this government has done to Kenyans, championed by some of the leaders that you see now shouting themselves hoarse, the pseudo-liberators. We are here to actually solve those ills. So what Right Honorable Raila Odinga was doing was letting the Kenyans know who's red, who's blue, who's orange, who's purple. And let it be known, we in ODM have a history of liberating the country. Yes, and that is what we are here to do, but we can't do that if we are powerless. Another thing it has to be known is this.
You got into power, but you're powerless.
Yes.
That's what you said.
Now, I'm saying we cannot help the powerless if we're powerless too. We cannot help them on the sidelines. I'm echoing what my party leader was saying yesterday.
Okay.
So, another thing I'd like to delve on very much is the bipartisan MOU, which has now been, scandalized and bastardized because people are taking a lead into what we call social media propaganda. The bipartisan MOU is not a power-sharing deal. It was about liberating this country and good governance. Even if you read the MOU, there's no press and no structure that has been laid down whereby we are sharing power. And before you start attacking me and asking me that why can't we do these things in opposition, I will tell you to stop being an ignoramus. Bipartisan MOUs are not something peculiar to democracy. We had one just the other year when America was trying to deal with Ukraine. They had a stalemate in Congress for over 6 months, which meant the Democratic Party and the Republican Party signed a bipartisan MOU in regards to that matter. Very touchy matters that affect the situation, the nation. So, in Kenya, seemingly a very developed democracy, if we see that good governance is lacking, why not invite our partners in government to kick out first and foremost the rots in government and invite more competent people? It's not even been a week. I was with Bona Sosion at the signing ceremony. It's not even been a week.
Okay.
Yes, it's not even been a week since we signed that paper, and Kenyans are over here trying to attack ODM. We did not create your problems. In fact, by the time you people were creating these problems, you were insulting us and our party leader profusely. So that is why the Right Honorable had to make things clear. Number one, we did not create your problem. We are here to solve them. I think that's enough for me.
Can we take a break?
Yeah.
What does Wanjiku want?
What does Atieno want?
Can we just take a break?
What does Atieno want?
Sosion has not spoken. I am aware. I want to serve him tea. We'll be right back.
tunapowasha vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwiga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji uliobobea katika habari,
nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
burudani,
nĩ harĩa tũkoragwo tũkĩigua nyĩmbo mwaki nyĩmbo hot,
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma. Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 FM. Soro FM.
Ala zote na salamu zimfikie.
Ibada ambayo ni rahisi sana katika mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhani ni kufunga. Ndio ibada nyepesi zaidi kwa sababu unasusia tu chakula, japo njaa huwa na ugumu wake. Lakini kuna mambo mengine ambayo ni magumu zaidi kuliko kushinda bila kula.
Idha dakhala Ramadan, pindi Ramadhani inapokuwa ni yenye kuingia, futihat abwabul janna, milango ya janna Allah huifungua milango yote 8 kwa ajili yetu sisi. Milango 8 inafunguliwa kwa ajili yetu sisi kwa sababu ndani ya mwezi wa Ramadhan baraka nyingi zina.
The two sessions, China's annual political season, brings together the country's lawmakers and political advisors to chart the way forward for the nation.
It captures global attention as geopolitical and economic tensions rise.
So what impact will this have on Africa?
We take an in-depth look at China's two sessions and explore what lies ahead for Africa.
Join us for a special program on CGTN and the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation.
All right, welcome back. So the question is, the Sasa Trumpet, tarumbeta ya siasa. So what does Mwananchi want? Loosely translate to Wanjiku. Okay, so what does Wanjiku want? Sosion, go ahead.
First and foremost, who is Wanjiku? You know, we've got to refresh our understanding of who Wanjiku is. Because we can always talk of Wanjiku, and then run away with our issues, which actually do not belong to Wanjiku. Wanjiku is a common word in Kenya used to represent the ordinary Mwananchi. And from the Kenya Kwanza perspective, it was not going to be right and fair to develop a manifesto without consulting Wanjiku.
Yes.
Yeah, that one you can't. And I laud the president for complying with Article 10 of the Constitution, for leading UDA and Kenya Kwanza Brigade in developing a manifesto that is people-driven.
Article 10 inasemaje wenye kuna katiba?
Article 10,
for the sake
that
of
is
our audience.
National
values and
principles. Values of national values and principles of governance. And that of public participation is clearly espoused. From the social justice background where I come from, I was so tight with that approach. And there were county forums, economic forums, convened by Kenya Kwanza, with submissions from the different groups, from farmers, from teachers, from civil society organizations, from churches. That is the mosaic representation of Wanjiku, the different groups in the society who play an active role in the economy. And therefore, the 47 counties generated 47 economic charters. And the 47 counties have got different economic activities. And those were customized. And charters signed with those counties. I witnessed the president signing at Catholic University. I was there myself. And at the national level, there are unique groups like teachers and educators. The president had a meeting with them on 23rd of June 2022 and signed a charter that is unique to education. And that document is what is driving education agenda. Persons with disabilities, women, and different groups.
Yes.
These are the people who play a critical role in our economy, and are the people who desire services. Now, then you've come with the question, what the 5 pillars that were developed by Kenya was generated, and it turned out that number 1, agriculture was the main pillar. Agriculture is the source of income of Kenya. If you check, doing some bit of all of us little agricultural activities for a living. An agriculture teacher. Agriculture of our economy, and it became, and a lot of work has gone into it. Subsidized fertilizers, affordable seeds. You saw the government of seeds, gains made. Agricultural sector, millions from 60 to 80 million, and double sugar cane, and that we now don't import sugar anymore, and we can be an exporter. Potential and a lot of opportunities within that. About manufacturing, value addition, talk of production, raw materials within that space. And I am sure, the business we heard about sufurias, of lack of food, lack of maize in the country. The only secret to produce, that one has been achieved. Then the others, small business, Mama Mboga, and there's a lot of work, not much has really gone into the Hustler Fund. There's a lot within that. Construction of markets, decent markets across the country. Economic processing zone, that is the micro small media activities is work in progress. Then a lot of work. The cable has been laid across the superhighway and the hotspots and a lot of things being. We are in the 4th industrial revolution. It's digitally driven, and that is where you must take this controversial thing of housing. And people may not see that. Insist on work. In the next 20 years, it will be a big story in the country. And then pillar on universal health coverage. This country, that we need every citizen to access healthcare, despite the challenges that exist, and the challenges must be overcome. So basically, the 5 Kwanza administration speaks to the needs of. Summarize it from my social justice background, that there are 3 things that Wanjiku need. 1.
Number 2.
So you need agriculture. You need to strengthen agricultural productivity. First of all, to avail food to income to the house.
Number 3.
Number two,
right.
Health. Quality health. So is revolutionary. And let me tell Kenyans that many countries have attempted to roll out UHC and have collapsed. But and I can give example of Ghana. I worked in that space as a vice chair of NHIF and representing workers. And when the several attempts to roll out UHC, which was docked by self-interest and corruption, I was able to take teachers to themselves, to TSC, and they were able to run their own scheme. So health and rollout of UHC, it is a must-succeed thing, it is what the president. And then third one, accessible, quality, free education.
Allow me to bring.
Those three are delivered by any government.
Allow me to
anywhere
bring
in the world.
Thank you. Allow me to bring Kevin on this.
Wanjiku is good.
Kevin, you know, he's talked about the plan, the 5 pillars of the Kenya Kwanza administration, and summarized them into 3. But anytime you have the forum in the counties, does this reflect?
Victor, the answer to that is an 80-20 reflection. 80 that it doesn't reflect, 20 that it reflects. And this is largely from a point of view of devolution of functions.
Right.
A majority of those 3 that, actually most of those 3 summaries by Mwalimu Sosion are county functions. And you can imagine the back and forth. Remember in my initial statement, I indicated that there are backs and forths insofar as engagement between national and county governments. And this is largely with regards to the devolution of functions. And one of those functions, it talks about food and is agriculture. And the beauty of this is that Kenyans are beginning to realize that there are some times that you do not expect everything from your government, and that sometimes you innovate and you activate and therefore motivate yourself to be able to deliver. So you identify your own niche, you carve it, you grow it, and you produce from it. And that is what most Kenyans are doing. Of course, government policies and programs from the 20% or percentile therefore indicate that the policies that are supposed to support some of these engagements have there are conversations that are going on, and that we expect that probably by the end of the framework that has been established by Council of Governors and especially through the IBEC, the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, that there will be some responses. Of course, health is a big issue that again is fully devolved, as we are aware, and that the gallivanting of national government is largely based on what Mheshimiwa Sosion is talking about, that it was a promise that was made by Kenya Kwanza government and the expectation by the president that every Kenyan needs to be covered. This is revolutionary, Victor. But unfortunately, we have not sat back and looked at what we must do to be able to make it work and work properly. And that is, for example, in some of the stories that we hear about Shisha not working, the systems, falling down. Every day we are hearing about health workers, promising or actually talking about strikes. It means that there are conversations that we need to be having, but we are not having those conversations.
Very good.
Fast track it as I finish, Victor, to even housing. Housing is fully devolved, and you wonder what national government would be talking about insofar as housing is concerned. So if you go to urban development at the county levels, very strong systems that have been put in place, very strong institutions, but as Brian was talking about powerlessness, they are actually powerless, because therefore, what do you need to do if you are a CEC of housing? So we see a lot of conversations again between national government and county governments, but those conversations do not relate largely to what the person we are referring to as Wanjiku wants to see. And even in the pact that you introduced earlier on, remember, is one of the things that Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga spoke about. He said, I am aware that affordable housing is not working. That is why we want to work together with the government to ensure that Kenyans can be able to reap some of these outputs. So yes, 80-20.
80-20.
And we hope
so
that,
I want to ask you all, have you interacted with the 10-point agenda that was released by the 2 parties?
Yes.
You've interacted with it, the 10 points. Salma, let me come back to you. Before you do that, can we just listen to what Honorable Raila Odinga said yesterday in Kiambu very quickly?
Raila Odinga's cooperation with President William Ruto has been met with criticism from a section of Kenyans, but the ODM leader is not backing down.
Watu wengi wanapiga kelele hapa na pale, Raila ameenda kwa Ruto, ametuacha. Mimi sijaenda kwa Ruto. Ruto amekuja kwangu, na amekuja upande yetu. Mimi nikasema tufanye mambo marekebisho haya yote. Mnaona yale tumeandika maneno 10 yote ni yale tumekuwa tunadai. na wakasema watatimiza. Sasa tumesema tunapatia hao fursa ya kufanya hayo ili yarekebishwe.
Thank you. Almost the same thing on the front page of the, is it Daily Nation? Mheshimiwa, you have it there. And then again on the front page of the Standard. Raila grows cold feet. Sama, what do you make of that? And what does Wanjiku want?
From what has just been played,
yes,
I believe His Excellency the President, if you look at the executive role of the presidency, one of the things that stand out is he is a symbol of national unity. That is the first thing. And I remember when we were moving around, we said that we are coming into a government where every other person will be included. We don't want a situation where we have the winner takes it all. And I believe that is one of the things that His Excellency the President has been able to emphasize on. The issues of tribalism, the issues of the President is a national leader.
I'll sort you out shortly.
Okay.
Let me come back to you, Brian.
Yes.
What does Wanjiku want in as far as this is concerned, with relations to what Raila Odinga said, and if you've interacted with the 10-point agenda, where is the position of Mwananchi? Because as we speak, where is Wanjiku and what does Wanjiku want?
Well, Wanjiku is also in the government because the government is made of people. And the people that are in government are just exercising the will of the people. What in essence has happened for the past 2 years is good intentions, bad implementers. You know the saying and the aphorism, or the saying that says the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So prior to our joining the government, we as ODM, the government had good intentions, but none of them had been implemented. So what I want to point out to Kenyans and what Wanjiku wants, first and foremost, is sincerity from its leaders. Not people who want to usurp power under the guise of liberating them. Because if you want to liberate the people from these problems that are seemingly bedeviling the country, including SHA and all those things, we have to ask ourselves, who created these problems? It is the very same people, the very pseudo-liberators, the Wamunyoski coalition, that created these problems.
What did you say?
Wamunyoro coalition that created these problems.
You say Wamunyoski?
No, that is for the youth. That is for the youth. That is how the youth call them. Yeah. So they are the very people who created these problems. We know the Wamunyoro choir and how it sings. All of a sudden, they have changed their genre. All of a sudden, Kofi Olomide wants to sing Mugidi. We must ask ourselves, as sincere as our leaders, to be sincere first and foremost, because what leaders and what the country is feeling is a sense of disillusionment. Wasn't this the same guy who was supporting the government, now criticizing the government? And wasn't this the same guy who was criticizing the government, now in the government?
Okay. If you've interacted with the 10-point agenda, where's the voice of Wanjiku? Well, from number 1 to the last one.
Number 2 says inclusivity in all spheres of public life. That in essence is all about Wanjiku. It talks about public participation, and let me tell you, I was in an ODM delegates meeting. You'll find even people of Asian origin there, like Sumra. So ODM as a party in itself represents so many communities in this nation, including the Ndoromo, even if there are 4 of them in the forest, as long as they are here within our borders, even the Rendile, they are in ODM, you will find them there. What we are doing is that we want to take this power, not for a certain region or a certain political movement. We are taking this power for the whole nation, and that is what we've always done as ODM. So what Wanjiku thinks and what Wanjiku has misconstrued this MOU, they have misconstrued it to be something of a power-sharing deal. And that is why you see the strife coming in. That is why you see people calling our party leader a conman, thinking that he's there to win it for himself. which is not the case. Show me where in the MOU it says there's a power sharing structure.
But why are you looking at me? I didn't call him autonomous.
Can I give it to Salma?
No, it's okay.
As you sip your coffee. I stole Salma's time. Salma, where is the voice of Wanjiku in the 10 points agenda? Probably if you also continue with the point you're making.
So as I continue with the point that I was making, the president is a national leader who is expected and mandated to work with everybody, each and every Kenyan. Whether they supported him, whether they did not, it is the mandate, as per this constitution, you know, is mandated to walk and move in every corner of this country to ensure that each and every Kenya get the services that they want. If you look at the 10 points agenda that was signed, all those agendas speaks to the Mwananchi, the Wanjiko. And the end goal is service delivery. Number one on that, the joint framework that was signed was the NADCO report, which is which I am keen about. When you look at the NADCO report and the genesis of the NADCO report, on the 9th of December 2022, the president sent a memorandum to Parliament. That particular memorandum had 4 agendas. The 4 agendas, remember, there was an advisory by the court that Parliament is not properly constituted. Number 1 on that particular agenda was, you know, the implementation of the 2/3 gender rule. Number 2, the CDF, Senate, and the NGAF oversight funds. Number 3, the creation of the office of the leader of official
and the Prime Minister.
Opposition. And then the last one...
And the Prime Minister position.
Exactly.
That's in the NADCO report.
And then the last one was oversight over the cabinet, the various departments within government. So if you look at this 10-point agenda that was submitted to Parliament, and then after Parliament they went back to Mwananchi, I am aware that including ODM and every other stakeholder in this country gave their voice in that particular NADCO report. So, and then it went back after public participation, intensive public participation, it went back to Parliament. The report sits at the JILA committee at the moment, awaiting tabling. So this particular, the 4 thematic areas, education, you know, Parliament being properly constituted so that we have proper legislation, proper representation, you know, proper oversight. You know, those are the things. Once this is implemented, I think the end goal, service delivery, is what we are looking at from where I sit.
Okay. So basically, when you've also interacted with the 10-point agenda, Mheshimiwa.
And that is why I was present at the signing ceremony.
Very well.
With me?
Yes, with Odwar here. And you don't hide, you know.
Let history know.
And where is the voice of Mwananchi?
Where is the voice of Mwananchi? Then what is in the MOU? What is in the MOU? That's the question. Is it about
power sharing?
Is it about Raila Odinga? Is it about William Ruto? And the president stated very clearly that this MOU that we have signed and this process that we are engaging in is not about what is there for the politicians and for some of us, but what is there for Kenyans. Very clear. But 2,
why NADCO?
There was pressure to engage in a national dialogue process to address governance issues and to address political situation in the country. And during the unveiling of that report, or the handing over of that report at KICC, President William Ruto stated very clearly that for me, for many things to work, I will have a broad-based government that will invite many people, so that the broad-based government that will be inclusive will help me implement my agenda. He said, my agenda, because the president is elected on a specific agenda. And that is why ODM ministers came in, 5 of them. They are not coming to implement ODM agenda, but they are coming to help the president implement his own agenda. And that agenda is not a personal property of the president. It is agenda that touches Mwananchi. And those agenda also formed part of ODM. Because if you look at housing, it was an agenda in ODM. If you look at healthcare, it was an agenda in ODM. And therefore, the signing of this agreement is going to deepen cooperation between President William Ruto and Raila Odinga. So that when they're relating on a document that is, and of course they were signed as United Democratic Alliance as a party. The president was signing as a party leader, and ODM as a party. Because those are distinct entities.
So does it
with
mean
specific policies?
So does it mean, Mheshimiwa, before you continue, does it mean that if ODM and UDA had almost the same manifesto, all right, then why bring ODM?
Now,
well, can I answer that?
Now, before that,
why ODM?
Before that, you definitely will answer to enrich what I have. But you know, the relationship between Raila Odinga and William Ruto is not new, and these are great statesmen who have walked the political journey the longest in this country. They were in Addis Ababa together the other day to expand the political horizon in this country. And they've come back to the country with a greater resolve to strengthen our nation, politically and economically. And so, for them working together, there was need to sign, to have a formal document, as required, of course, by law. And so the two parties signed the MOU, and prior to that, there are already 5 ministers appointed from ODM side, and I am sure beyond the signing of this agreement, the relationship between the president and Raila Odinga will deepen in terms of cooperation around the issues affecting Kenyans: democracy, human rights, governance, and of course, even the item on the debts, auditing debts, and what the debts, what the money that is being borrowed.
Does ODM have the instruments? Does ODM have the instruments of power? Does ODM have the instruments of power to expedite some of these processes we're talking about? The debts,
Let me tell you.
Because the government in place is Kenya Kwanza.
Yes, it is Kenya Kwanza. UDA is the largest and strongest political party with 145 members of parliament.
It's a coalition.
No. UDA alone, stand alone before you bring in ANC and the others. And now they are merged with ANC. ANC is already subsumed within UDA. ODM is the second largest with 85 members of parliament and one of the oldest political parties. You can't ignore. Trusted. It's a strong party. It's a strong party. And
he was a member
and don't forget,
all these people.
UDA, if you trace it historically, it is a chip-off from ODM. So these are parties with similar goals, similar interests, and now this convergence of unity for purpose to create an ecosystem of serving Kenyans and transforming Kenyans could have come at no better time
of which the Kenya Kwanza administration could not do without bringing ODM
It's
on
not a
board.
question of it could not do.
Which is true.
Let me tell you.
Of which they did not do it. That is why we stepped in. Just hold on. Just hold on 1 second, my sister. Let it be made clear. Let us not ignore facts and history. The people who are propagating the first finance bill and the second finance bill were solely UDA and their members, both old and new, both former and present. They are the ones who are propagating it. We as ODM MPs had walked out in protest by the time Parliament was being invaded. So let history come as clear that we in ODM have always fought for their rights. Have always stood by what is right. Now, once we saw this country going into the dogs, you cannot joke with the stability of a nation. You see, some politicians were having a wet dream of us ODM sitting in the sideline.
Oops, can we take a break? Let's take a break. I see Sosion's cup is empty.
No, it's a political. Let me finish, kindly. Some politicians were having imaginations, or rather, they were having imaginations thinking that we let this country go to the dogs. Can we talk?
The scene is on. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. And yes, the phones will be on at this point. 0716 01 103301, 103301, 0716 103301. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
The FIFA World Cup 2026 Africa qualifiers match schedule is up for match day 5. In Group F, the Gambia will host Harambee Stars on Thursday, the 20th of March from 10 p.m.
Shown, and which may show here. And yes, the breakthrough's there for Kenya.
Catch the action live from Alassane Ouattara Stadium in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, live and exclusive. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Mali Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
All right, and anytime from now, you can now call us 0716 103301, 0716 103301. What do you really want as Wanjiku, as it is said there? What does Wanjiku want? Politicians, the pact was signed, but what do you want as Mwananchi? Let's talk, let's engage.
Wanjiku
all right?
wants good governance and sincerity. Wanjiku does not want to see leaders recycle themselves in every new coalition or in every new party with now different agendas depending on where they are. That is why I'm categorically stating we as ODM were the first to reject both finance bills of 2023 and 2024. And again, by the time Gen Z were invading parliament, Gen Z hatukuwa hapo. We had already walked out in protest. Now, the people and the failures of the UDA government at that time obviously were apparent, but there is no way we were going to let this country go to the dogs. Let's not joke with the stability of a nation. If we in ODM had took on a hard stance, then what happens the next day? Imagine what happens when abrupt vacuum of power is seen in a nation. And it's not even foreseen in the constitution whereby a leader has been toppled. Do you know in such a situation, it's not the speaker to come or the vice president? That is the time you'll realize as Kenyans we have warlords. And we cannot let that happen. We have to think about the next day. So we in ODM were sober-minded enough to allow Ruto's invitation, who came crying to our party leader. Let it be said. And we said, you don't need to cry, Bwana Ruto. This is our nation too. You think we are going to just be petty and let this nation burn? No. So let it be stated, we are not in this government to proliferate these ills, the seemingly ills that Wamunyoski coalition and UDA had done, and the pseudo-liberators of today. We are here to rectify them. We are the cavalry. They have called in the cavalry.
Salma.
I think we need to be objective and honest to Kenyans. Brian has talked to the failures of UDA, and from where I sit, progressively, there's nothing in my book, in my diary, called failure. I've not seen that. If you've been keen to the happenings of this nation, and let me start by talking about what took place during when we were signing the joint framework agreement. There were two activities. There was the team inside the hall that were doing the signing of the joint agreement, and then there was this other team that were outside, and you saw some that were swimming, you know, at the water, at the arena. So one of the supporters of, I think, the ODM party stated that, in fact, saizi SHA ina work, na hiyo SHA nataka ibadilishwe iitwe baba care.
Opinions are a constitutional
Number
right.
two, you have had sentiments from Honorable Mbadi and CS Mbadi and CS Oparanya. Mbadi said in some forum one time, while we were in the opposition, our main work, our main goal is to criticize the government. And whether they have worked 95%, ours is to look for the 5% and target on that one and criticize it well.
Mbadi is not here to defend himself, kindly.
Let me finish. Honorable CS Oparanya said, this government has done so well. I only came to know of the much that they have done once I got into government. So we need to be objective. Okay. Let me talk to factual. Let me speak to the issue of the finance bill. What do we call, what do we want to see when we are talking about objective demonstrations? You very well know the processes of making a law. When the finance bill was tabled in Parliament, Parliament commits it to a given committee, the Finance Committee. Right. Then it is subjected to public participation. A memorandum is published in the daily newspapers of where and where, which place, what time, which date this particular discussion will happen. And then those who will attend the public participation will submit their submissions orally or in written. Whatever that will be collected by this particular committee will be sent back to Parliament for debate. Once it is sent back to Parliament for debate, Parliament generates a report and then it is sent to the President for assent. If we are honest to ourselves, at what point did ODM, did they participate in the public participation? When at the time when this bill was supposed to be the contribution, their contribution was needed, so that then Kenyans know, yes, they did, and then their views were not captured.
Did
and
we
that
not
is
vote
when,
no? Which other contribution did you
At
need?
what stage?
In Parliament, did we not vote no? A resounding no in both finance bills of 23 and 24. That is when. That is when.
When we talk about oversight, and Mwananchi being told, now go to the street and do this. Let us be honest and let us be objective. At the end of the day, whichever side you sit from, Kenyans want service delivery. And we can only
let the record show that ODM participated by voting no to both finance bills of 2023 and 2024. Which other participation do you want? Do you want us to sing the no?
Yes, my student, Brian.
We have to sing it in a song.
I'll come back to Mwalimu. Yes, Brian. Kevin.
You see, I feel a little bit left behind because my two colleagues know.
No, it's the system, the syllabus.
Yeah. my two colleagues know. My two colleagues know that in the wisdom of His Excellency the President, he threw out the finance bill. So I even wonder what the commotion, what the issues are.
No, facts and history, that is what the commotion is.
Brian, it is however important that we learn from those processes. And what Salma, I think, is believing to do is to help us in the learning process, that there is a process called the lawmaking process in Kenya, and that citizens have a place to get involved in, and that legislators the people who make those laws also have a responsibility and a duty to participate at a certain level. And I think that moving forward, it is important. And the CS Treasury, Mheshimiwa Mbadi, actually, a number of occasions.
Again, Mbadi is not here to defend himself.
Again, he's been very...
Why are you mentioning my party members that are not here? Talk about me here.
Mheshimiwa Mbadi has been categorical that the Treasury has learned lessons from past processes which are helping to be progressive in terms of ensuring that citizens participate, in terms of ensuring that there is proper dissemination of budget tools like the draft budgets. Right now, we are even seeing televised conversations of government ministries and agencies before budget committee of parliament, defending their budgets. These are lessons that we are learning from the past, and it's important that moving forward, government carries them, and all government officers who are required by the Constitution to ensure that citizens are involved actually exercise that. I didn't want to get into that, but allow me to just go back to the 10-point agenda, Victor, because you asked, what does Wanjiku want? In my view, those agenda items are very good for even Wanjiku. A majority of them deal with the interest of the common citizen. Some of them, of course, have a lot of spaces for the interest of the political class. However, it is important for us again to realize that the letter is good. So the wordings, the narrations, the expectations are very good. However, the spirit of that document is what needs to bother Wanjiku, in the sense that, for example...
We take a caller?
Yes, please.
Let's take a caller. Daniel from Kisii. Daniel, good morning. Hello, Daniel. Daniel, good morning. Right, it seems we've lost Daniel. Yes.
So that, for example, the NADCO report, we know the process that these post-NADCO processes. And if you read that document from page 1 to page 385, because the whole of last year, actually, that is part of the work that I was engaged in, together with the agency that I represent called County Governance Watch and other stakeholders, it will require a referendum, the long and short of it, to be able to meet some of those expectations. Right. But remember, number one says full implementation of the NADCO report. It is not possible that we fully implement it in the context of what things are going on. For example, we do not have an IEBC. Look at the back and forth in the establishment of the Electoral Management Body or the Electoral Commission. Number two, where is the voice of Wanjiku in a number of those expectations? We are talking about extension of term of senators to 7 years. We are talking about extension of term of government, of the president.
You're talking about things that need not even go through.
We are talking about that the NADCO proposes to create offices of the Prime Minister, official leader of...
Does the NADCO talk about 7 years?
It is there, my brother. The NADCO proposes to extend the term of governors to 7 years. The NADCO proposes to establish office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary now in law, among several other issues. Where is the voice of the Wanjiku in that? Number two, I do not think that we needed an MOU to implement the 2/3 gender rule. What it requires is political goodwill, which Victor now, for almost, I think, is either 4 or 6 years, this is a process that has been going on back and forth. Successive governments have tried to no avail. We must be very deliberate to also break down the benefits that Wanjiku will accrue from this kind of progressive statements. And so therefore, representation of Wanjiku, if we, or when we implement the 2/3 gender rule, is very, very progressive. But where are the issues? And therefore, I do not think that just signing a pact between two people will help us get there. Transparency and accountability, utilization, judicious management of public resources is part of the 10-point agenda item. Did we really need to sign a pact for EACC to do its work? Did we really need to sign? Did we need to sign a pact for Article 10, which Mheshimiwa Sosion referred to earlier on in Chapter 6 on leadership and integrity to be implemented? I don't think we needed that. So, fact of the matter is, as we talk about what Wanjiku wants, Brian, you sound very itchy today. I don't know why. The voice of Wanjiku needs to be very exposed, very pronounced in a number of these successful government programs. And I think that conversations like this one that you, and in a platform like this, Victor, that you've given to us are very, very important because they are watching and they need to know that in as much as they also have interest in some of their games that they are playing, Wanjiku must have a say. So we need to find out where is the voice of
leaders, both
in the
Ruto,
10-point agenda.
Daktari and Raila have the largest following of supporters in this country. So, but they speak for that one.
But then when you look at the 10 points agenda, he's also spoken about the NADCO report, the inclusivity, you know, the devolution and all that. That is where the voice of Wanjiku will come in. Mwalimu.
Yeah, Article 1 of the Constitution talks about the supremacy and power of the people of Kenya. They have sovereign power. They can exercise directly or through leaders. So such processes of signing agreements in a moment that citizens cannot practice it directly is doing so on behalf of the people and for the people. For avoidance of doubt, we are talking about finance bill. We are already past that stage. We are now at a stage where
no, we will not ignore history.
Where history.
That history, in fact, allow me to give for us to govern properly.
Allow me to finish.
Just give me time, Brian.
Allow me to conclude my intervention. I like what CS Mbadi is doing currently, engaging the public in different fora ahead of 2 bills.
Brian
in
will
the
tell
National
you that
Assembly.
he's not here to defend
One,
it's true, you know.
I'm talking about what is happening.
When I mentioned about there was one time I mentioned David Ochieng here, they told me he's not here.
The two of you are not very disciplined. This is a serious talk show and we have limited time. That John Mbadi is engaging Kenyans now to discuss extensively through organized forums the next finance bill and the next appropriation bill, which is the budget. These are 2 parallel processes that will conclude itself at the end of the financial year. Once you have an appropriation bill and a budget of 4.2 trillion, which already is going through the various stages in Parliament, and the budget policy statement has been tabled in the House, and the real budget, of course, will come in far much later. How do you finance the budget? You must have an appropriation bill. You must have a finance bill on the clear revenue collection measures. So, and I think that is what Mbadi and the government is doing, so that we can cure the mistakes and misinformations of the past. And I agree with my fellow learned friend here, who must also understand that the finance bill was deleted by the president himself.
Let's pick Isaac from Kabete. Isaac, good morning. Isaac, good morning. Good morning, Isaac. It seems you have a problem with our line today. Technicians can work on that.
Or you call them back.
Okay, Mwalimu, 30 seconds before I bring in Salma.
So what the president did, considering the mood of Kenyans, the level of misunderstanding, the level of agitation, the level of confusion, in his own wisdom, because Parliament had actually approved the finance bill, all what was remaining was for him to append the signature into law, but to assent. But what he did, he referred the bill back to Parliament with recommendation of deletion of all the clauses. That is what meant automatically was that was removed off the table, and Finance Bill 2023 would continue operating, and that's what we are doing now. And still, we are not raising adequate revenue. We still have gaps of about 1.5 trillion or slightly above to meet. We still have deficits in the budget. So essentially, I would say this understanding, the signing of these agreements, is going to resolve many things, because many items will be open for discussion.
They're asking why it didn't resolve.
And I dare say, of course,
because ODM is inside.
Of course, initially it was not resolved because
that's why.
When ODM was outside,
things were bad.
Now it is inside.
Things are going to be better.
There's understanding.
Victor, you know that what
by the way, it's not because ODM is coming with any special expertise.
We are actually coming. You've spoken about Mbadi, praised him, eulogized him, and then you're saying we're not coming with special. We are coming with special things. Special talent.
Coming with all the special talent.
Yes,
we welcome.
Let it be known. Accept the truth. The truth shall set you free.
But what is key, Victor, is that this signing of this MOU is creating a very stable political ecosystem that the country can walk the path of transformative agenda, and that the president will be able to deliver the manifesto within the 5 years that he intended.
Thank you, Molim. That's well said.
We are into 2.5 years since we took government, and on this forum, you've heard about the president's legacy. Let me speak to the issue of health and affordable housing. You all know that we have the Standard Development Goal and the universal healthcare coverage that is supposed to come to an end in 2030. We have 5 years to go.
Sustainable Development Goals.
Exactly, the SDGs. We have 5 years down the line to go. We had NHIF, and then alongside when we had this NHIF, we had so many other disintegrated programs at national level and at county level. The things, sijui Wangamati Care, Otichile Care, Mama, Taifa, sijui what care. All these disintegrated healthcare programs were brought in because maybe there was a gap with the healthcare system that was there initially. As a government, you are supposed to then formulate programs that will advance or better what is existing. And I think that is why the SHA was implemented or brought on board. If you look at this SHA and the components of the SHA, all programs related to health, those the small ones that I'm talking about at the county level, at the national level, have all been integrated in the SHA system framework, so that then we have quality, affordable healthcare and accessible healthcare for all Kenyans. What is not working at the moment is the transition. And you know, in any policy formulation stages, there has to be procedures that have to be followed, so that whatever you're bringing on board is procedurally put in place. Otherwise, you don't want the backs and forth or the gaps that will be there. So the transition is what is maybe kind of slow, but I know that the SHA system will be working. The issue of affordable housing. Affordable housing across the 47 counties have been rolled out across the 47 counties. And you know very well the impact of this particular program. Job creation for, the Wanjiku that we're talking about. Devolution. Is devolution working? The other day you saw...
That's a good question, and you're asking the question to the right person.
I'm talking about the legacy, devolution. Yes. The other week you saw the stalemate between...
True. Set you free.
The other week you saw the stalemate between the county government and the controller of budget. I believe that the fourth schedule indicates the various functions between the national government and the county government. However, since the promulgation of the Constitution 2010, we have had
Salma, can we pick another call? If you don't mind. Let's pick a call. Let's pick a call. Mikali calling from Machakos. Mikali, good morning.
Good morning.
Very well. What's your question or comment? Go ahead.
Mimi naweza kucomment.
Yes.
Nitaongea Kiswahili.
Karibu sana.
Mimi naweza kucomment ile mambo inaendelea siku hizi.
Yes.
Inatushangaisha. Hawa wakubwa wetu tumechagua, tumewapikia kura, wakifika huko wao wanatosheka. hataki kusikiliza mwananchi kile anasema. Na ya pili, hii mambo ya matibabu imeharibu kila kitu, kwa sababu hata hiyo NHIS wale walikuwa wamekatwa miaka mingi na hawajaitibiwa, sasa ikipinduka SHA itawasaidia na nini? Na ya pili, kwa nini hawa watu tukichagua wanaongea ni kama wao ndio wako na mamlaka Kenya? Hawana respect. Wanaongea mko wanaumiza watu wananchi. Na mbunge inaendesha kulingana na vile inataka.
Thank you so much, Mikali. Asante sana, Mikali. Those are 4 great points. Actually pointing to the leaders, even you, in your own respective ways, you've been accused.
Yeah, of course.
That is why it is important to clarify facts and history.
Yes.
That is important. Why it is important why we should clarify.
I think it was Salma. Did you finish?
Continue. Yeah, she was talking about championing
30 seconds. It was on her call. Yes.
You know, the constitution that came into force in 2010. We have stakeholders that play a critical role in. You know, in championing, you know, the development agenda in this country. Nairobi County Assembly stormed the Controller of Budget's office over issues of bursary and the settlement. You ask me, we have had this particular function sitting with the county government.
Yes.
I believe they are stakeholders. If there are any changes, if this particular activity was being undertaken by the county
Have
government.
you heard what Mikale said?
Yes, I have heard what Mikale said. And that brings to me what Honorable Sosyon spoke to,
yes.
the issue of Article 1 of the Constitution. You understand? And also public participation. And that particular Mikali also has the right. I mean, we are the ones who vote in leaders of into the office, and he has the right to bring on board the right leaders into office.
Let's bring another caller. Joseph from Dandora. Joseph, good morning.
Hello.
Mambo vipi, brother?
Poa, mambo.
Salama, salama. What's your question or comment?
My question is about the panel is so good.
Thank you so much.
It seems you have a problem with these people from ODM. These people are so mannerless.
Oh, we've lost Joseph. Okay.
That's why it is important.
No, I think,
listen, Kidogo, this person is talking about ODM.
I'll come to that.
No, I have to talk now. ODM has never been mannerless. The things that the lady is talking about.
Order. Just a minute.
We are in a serious.
Just a minute. There's a way I'm going until, because we're almost running out of time. I still have more time. Then I'll come back to you. Don't worry. Well, if you can, summarize now.
I think, number one, we've talked about, one of the callers has talked about leadership. And we are indicted as a country. The question that are being raised is about seriousness in leadership from all those who are elected to exercise.
That's in reference to what Mukali said.
Of the people, yes, what Mukali. I agree with Mukali. And I share a cup of tea with the president. When he said the problem of this country is incompetent leadership in institutions, conflict of interest, corruption. Yeah, and the president pointed out that is the problem we have in this country. And until and unless we correct that so that the leadership can work, you cannot deliver services to the people. And that is what informs the concessions and signing of this agreement between Raila Odinga and William Ruto. People might think it is about 2027 or about personal interest, but it's about the people of Kenya and delivery of services. I also want to correct one item, which my fellow panelists have stated here, that all these functions belong to the county, and so they are functions for national government. There is no electric fence between overall government delivery of services. And the Constitution allows cooperation and consultation between county and national. And, and when the national government picks an item that is devolved, then it will be implemented in the process of consultation.
Good morning. All right, Daniel, good morning. Amna Neno Baba, what is your question or comment, briefly? What is your question? All right, thank you. So, we are running out of time, Session. Yes.
So I'm concluding. I think we must understand we didn't bring a constitution to create compartments that do not work together to the disadvantage of citizens. We must accept, in terms of leadership, even if functions are devolved and even if functions are national, there is a frontier of cooperation. That is why the intergovernmental
Relations Technical Committee
and oversight by the Deputy President brings in all these groups. So really, the key pillars, one on health, it must be driven collectively as a country. And in fact, I expect even county governments and governors to be very enthusiastic in enrolling citizens, in ensuring that the payments of premiums, and in ensuring that hospitals are working.
Session, just a question for you. After this, do you think the tables will turn to the favor of Mwananchi after this pact?
It is going to turn.
Absolutely.
That signature was pro-Mwananchi. And those who are still playing politics, I would say, are living in illusions and dreams.
Thank you.
The moment President William Ruto appended the signature and Raila Odinga, that's a signature for the people and for good governance. And there was a resolve even to fight corruption at whatever level. Some of these challenges you are seeing in in housing is about cartels and corrupt individuals.
Another caller, Victor from Nairobi. Victor, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
It sounds good to call my name the other side of the screen. Karibu sana. What's your question or comment?
Okay. What we want in Kenya?
Yes.
Ni ile tunasema we want fairness.
You want?
Fairness. Sana sana kwa employment.
Okay.
So hizi kama youth, the government inatuambia tuende tufanye kazi majuu. And then when they get opportunity, wana-employ watu wanajua. So we want that fairness and corrupt-free country.
Very good.
That's what we want.
Thank you. That's a very good thought. Fairness and a corrupt-free country. Go ahead, Kevin.
And Victor, that is really, I believe, is the backbone of the between the president and the former prime minister. The conversation to these such good progressive state, pacts, and so that therefore the space of the common citizen is seen to be covered by implementation of government in fulfilling these pacts, and that is what most of our callers are talking about. Mwikali ameongea kuhusu masuala ya afya, uzima, and the conversation therefore needs to move into what is this
and effectiveness in parliament.
What is this effectiveness and efficiency that ODM brings, because the president has been clear around nilishindwa, sasa nikaenda kwa huyu ndugu yangu aje atusaidie. What is this kusaidiana to be able to make health effective? Victor has just talked about, fairness. What is this space that ODM in kusaidiana na serikali katika, kuweka sahihi kwenye pact?
All right.
Where are these gaps that it is filling to be able to fill
give John a minute?
into what Victor is talking about?
Your time, yes. John from Kitale. John, good morning. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Karibu sana. What's your question or comment?
My question is,
yes.
Naongea kwa Kiswahili.
Tafadhali. John, call again. All right.
So you realize, Victor, that a majority of the callers really are interested in effectiveness, efficiency, and service delivery. And so it is in our expectation that as the president thinks about his legacy, his performance, and I've seen the Daily Nation has done a very big report on the legacy of performance of the president, rather of the government, they need to be wary about vitu kwa ground pale. Wananchi, je, wanahusishwa? Je, wanasikizwa? And if you walk into a health facility, will we continue to see the kind of scenes that we have seen where citizens are complaining about her system. The CS Health herself has been very clear that that SHA has a problem. The system is not effective.
For me, mine
so
is, he's pointed at me kindly, sir. For me, mine is to say that the bipartisan MOU, hold on, he's done.
No, not yet.
I am not done, with due respect.
20 seconds?
Today we are sharing this platform.
Today you are doing this power sharing officially. I like it.
Okay,
give him 30 seconds.
Yes, he has told me to proceed.
Let me surrender my 30 seconds.
All right.
I, like my fellow panelists, I'm in support of this bipartisan MOU agreement, and let the citizenry know that bipartisan MOU agreements are not power-sharing agreements, and they are not peculiar to democracy. They have happened even in United States. But we cannot ignore facts and history at the same breath, so that we do not repeat history. Let the record show.
Can you also donate your time to Fayo to make a call?
Yeah.
Kindly. Fayo from Nairobi.
Good morning.
Karibu sana. Good morning to you. What is your question or comment?
Niko na comment na question. Nawasalimia kwanza wageni wa studio barini wote.
Wamepokea, umesalimiwa? Thank you.
Sasa ile wa Kenya sisi tunataka. Ile kitu sisi wa Kenya tunataka. Tungeomba kwanza kitu ya kwanza kukuwe na free education, yani kutoka primary hadi university watoto wasome bure. Kitu ya pili, upande wa afya, serikali iko na uwezo na pesa ya kutupatia matibabu ya bure kila mtu. Kenya iko na pesa, si ati sisi ni watu wenye tuko chini. Tunaweza kujisimamia matibabu ya wananchi wote bure bila malipo. Kitu kingine ya tatu, barabara zikuwe mzuri, barabara zitengenezwe mzuri. Kitu ya nne, tukiweza patiwa mbolea ya bure. Mbolea. Serikali ina uwezo wa kutupatia mbolea ya bure, watupatie masomo ya bure, mbolea ya bure, na barabara zikuwe mzuri. Sasa hapo pengine hata wakipeleka hivyo na tupeleka ni sawa. Mheshimiwa Sosion, naona Mheshimiwa Sosion na mheshimu sana, ni mheshimiwa naona anaonanga mbele. Ningeomba mheshimiwa tafadhali, unaona hapo UDA hapo, ningeomba yani upande wa masomo, unaelewa upande wa masomo venye tumeteseka sana Kenya upande wa masomo. Tafadhali, hakuwezekani kukuwa na free education kwa ukweli kabisa, free education. Tukue wote tuko tu, yani afadhali tukue wote tuko na elimu kwanza. Hapo tunaweza tafuta kazi mahali kwingine, hata tunaweza tafuta nchi za nje.
I think that wraps it up. I have 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was my time. Give me at least a minute.
Okay, kindly.
Again, as I was saying, I'm in support with the bipartisan of the bipartisan MOU agreement.
Right.
It is not a power sharing structure, and it is not peculiar to democracy. It has happened in developed countries like USA. However, let us not ignore facts and history. The things that my sister was talking about, including promulgation of constitution devolution, it is ODM that championed them. We also rejected both finance bills 23 and 2024. And we are here not to promulgate the same things. We are here to make sure, as caretakers that have been given power by the people of Kenya, to make sure that the right thing is done within the right circles, because we can't help the powerless on the sidelines. We have to be powerful to help the powerless.
All right. Collins from Githurai. Collins, good morning. Collins, good morning.
Morning.
Karibu sana. What's your question ama comment?
Nilikuwa na maswali 2 ama 3.
Yes.
Nilikuwa nataka mimi kwanza nilikuwa na katana na hiyo handshake ya Raila na Ruto. Sababu ni kama hawa wanasiasa wako na self interest hao wenyewe, juu hawatuangalii sisi kama wananchi wa kawaida, the common mwananchi nao. Hello? Hello?
Yes, endelea, I can hear you.
Sasa nilikuwa naona ni nini yenye Raila hangefanya ile wakati alikuwa na Uhuru Kenyatta, na ile handshake yao na Uhuru Kenyatta, na yenye anataka kufanya sahi, na hangeifanya kama hayuko kwa government. Juu I think angesaidia sana serikali, kama hivyo ndiye anataka kusema,
anataka kusaidia, anasema you want to help resolve critical national issues. Nafikiri angefanya vizuri angekuwa on opposition side than angekuwa kwa government side. Then number two ni sisi wananchi wakuwa wanatufikiria, hata sisi wananchi wasikuja tu ku launch project nyingine na hawajafanya hata ile moja yenye walikuwa wanataka kufanya. Kama hivi nafikiria it's very much unnecessary for our president to say that anataka ku launch machine ya kutengeneza chapati, na our health sector imefail kabisa. Watu wanalalamika SHA haifanyi, people tumerudi kwa harambee yenye walikuwa wanasema hatutakuwa there will be no more harambee home. Lakini sasa hivi tunapata sisi tunaenda tu approach waheshimiwa tena leo asubuhi, jana, kesho tunataka mheshimiwa akuje tena tufanyie harambee, tupeleke watoto shule, tufanyie harambee, ndio tukatibu wazazi wetu ama ndugu zetu kwenye hospitali. Na government iko tuna pesa yenye inaweza tusaidia kufanya hivi vitu bila kufanya hizo harambee juu kama wanaweza patiana 20 million kwa church, hiyo pesa inaweza peana kwa health sector. Hiyo pesa inaweza somesha watoto wengi sana wenye wanatamani kusoma, ama ipeleke facilitate shule ama our technical colleges zenye tuko na technical colleges ambazo hazina facilities za kwenda kufanya shughuli hizo. Nafikiri ni hiyo tumeongea sana.
Thank you so much Collins. Collins has spoken very well. All right. Yes.
Allow me to acknowledge many of the comments.
We take a break. Let's take a breather. Yes, let's take a break. I'll be back. Then we finalize. Allow me. All right. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us.
China's annual political season brings together the country's lawmakers and political advisors to chart the way forward for the nation.
It captures global attention as geopolitical and economic tensions rise.
What impact will this have on Africa?
We take an in-depth look at China's session and explore what lies ahead for Africa.
Join us for a special program on CGTN and the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation.
Mshtakiwa. Kwani hiyo wakati yote tumekaa hapa hivi umeniita majina, haujachua hata jina yangu hata saa hii mwenyewe. Who is receptionist?
Ni mimi.
Rest in peace.
Nani rest in peace?
Ni wewe naongelesha
wewe. Ongea kile unaelewa, wacha kutupotezea wakati.
Nikisema ya kwamba huyu ndiye alitoka na hizo vitu ndani ya room, nitafanya sema ni wangu majibiwa. Nilikwambia hiyo karatasi imepikwa warning can.
Mtu asiende na follow boss kwa room yake. Lakini maanishi wewe ufuate follow boss.
I'm talking. So what are you looking for me? What are you looking for me?
Mimi anatafutia wewe nini?
All right, so today we are the show is supposed to end at 8:30 because it's your interest as a citizen. We want to listen to you. That's why the calls are on, and you can still call 0716 10 3301. We want to listen to you. The leaders are here. They'll address your issues. So that's how we do it. Very good. So Sean.
I acknowledge the comments from callers.
Very important. Right.
Very enriching. And I think as a country, we should reach a point where we value feedback from the people. And there are three things that have picked, three key issues. One caller has talked about education being free.
Free education?
University. And not just free,
yes,
quality public education. That one, and I think there is need for the government, and even after the signing of this agreement, to continue calibrating education so that it can work, and so that we can free all the households in Kenya from paying any money for education. But they should access education for free next to the household, not in holdings, not in expensive processes, but let education be brought closer to the household. It can be done. We have adequate resources. The healthcare system, let us stop debate and fighting. Let's continue with the debate, but let us be objective. Let us take the campaigns to the health facilities, to the level 1 hospital, level 2. Let the leaders work at that level. They are the chiefs, there are the MCAs, there are ward administrators, there are governors, and there's the entire government. Let us get down and fix the challenges that are unique to each facility and unique to the program, so that we deliver the universal healthcare coverage. On agriculture, I dare say there is nothing wrong if the government can fully, in the long run, finance the cost of fertilizers, so that farmers who are hardworking can even be given fertilizers that are fully subsidized by the state. There is nothing wrong with working towards the direction of further supporting farmers by strengthening subsidy on fertilizers. It is now 2,500. This is not logics. It was at 7,000. It is now 2,500. There is impact on production. And what if it were reduced to 2,000, to 1,500 with time? I think we need to understand this, because the farmer is the one who saves the country. And that farmer must be incentivized, not beyond fertilizers, to chemicals, to farm inputs, and of course giving them guaranteed minimum return. Work on the marketing of their products. How can we process the goods, the goods,
I want us to do
produce
this.
that the farmers are producing to ensure that they access good markets.
I want to treat that as your
We can do a lot as a country.
I really appreciate
that.
And
the president is so passionate. Can see what he's doing within the city.
And today he's going to he's in Brian's backyard. Brian, don't come here. Don't come here next time without goodies. I will come with goodies.
And all of us accept that we have a hardworking, genuine, and honest president.
Let's hear the closing remarks, Malimo. I'll come back to you shortly. I know why. Osido.
For my closing remarks or my comments.
Yes.
What is yes?
Comments. Closing remarks. We are out of time.
So I want to do the comments, Victor. I'll do my closing remarks by saying that the president is interested in a nation that is delivering, a nation that is producing. And sometimes I have looked at the president as a gentleman who has very positive interests, but the goodwill is sometimes not there. In the sense that being a president of a nation, so you are the head of government, and government is a machinery. So you must be able to put in place mechanisms that will be able to support your dream and your manifesto. And then Kenya is a very good country because we have systems, we have mechanisms, we have frameworks, we have policies, we have programs, we have laws. These laws must be able to work insofar as the voice of Wanjiku is concerned. And so even as we look at this joint agreement, in my view, it is an attempt by President William Ruto to create an ample environment for his government to deliver. A number of that he has fell short of the promises that he made to Kenyans, and that this kind of agreements, especially looking at the post-AU elections that Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga was unable to go through, he is worried about quote-unquote a loose Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, especially having the opportunity to engage with citizens. And in the context where people feel disenfranchised, citizens feel probably that government is not delivering well, that services are not being delivered in the manner that they are expected. So I look at this positively. from the angle of a stable government that is supposed to accrue into a stable economy, and an economy, therefore, that allows for services to be delivered, and much more fundamentally, that young people have jobs, and that healthcare is working, education, a number of all these things that the citizens have talked about, including devolution. And in so saying, I am also aware that even in these conversations of Schedule 4, you know, the roles or functions of national and county governments, a lot is going on to be able to put in place frameworks that will support the delivery of these functions. What we need is political goodwill. That goodwill that will be able to ensure that ultimately the citizens are benefiting from this. And then lastly, is bottom line is a request to the citizens that in supporting what government is doing, whether you support Kenya Kwanza and you know, or the opposition, or whether you support the joint agreement or not, the constitution has guaranteed opportunities for engagement. Whenever tumeona kama tumeitwa kwa sehemu za public participation, kutoa ama kutia sauti zetu kwenye sera za serikali, tujitokeze. Let's go out there and ask the difficult fundamental questions, whether it is in the annual development plan of the counties, whether it's in the budget making process, whether it's in the CIDP, or whether it's in the programs that the governors are doing. Let's go out there and engage effectively. And that way, we will all be exercising this thing. We are all talking about sovereignty of the people. Not all of us can be elected MPs. Not all of us can be elected the president. But we have been given the space within our spheres, within our sectors, within our environments, to also exercise our leadership.
Very well. Brian.
For my closing remarks to the citizenry, I'm speaking directly to you, Kenyans. Let's not buy into social media propaganda. The bipartisan MOU agreement is not a power-sharing agreement. Another thing that we should not buy into social media propaganda is, let's not forget facts and history. As ODM in a party, we promulgated the new constitution. We brought on devolution. We rejected both finance bills of 2023 and 2024. In fact, by the time Gen Z were getting into parliament, we had walked out in protest. Now, we are not in government this time round or in any other time to proliferate the ills that this government has seemingly perpetuated over the current 2.5 years. We are here to rectify. And it's not even been a week. We haven't even removed our suits properly and got into the office properly. Give us some time and see the changes that ODM will bring. I assure you, we will deliver. Just like we've delivered during the promulgation of the Constitution, we delivered on devolution, and we'll deliver much more. You can trust in ODM.
Thank you.
You will overturn the House.
I want us to do this because she's the only lady in the House. Last week was International Women's Day.
Yes, it was.
Are we making strides? 2/3 gender rule. We started that by 2/3 gender rule.
Yes, we are making strides, and as I had mentioned, the NADCO report speaks to the implementation of the 2/3 gender rule.
Yes.
And I'm glad also it was echoed in Homa Bay by the governor.
Yes.
Honorable Gladys Wanga. She said that
the first lady was also there.
Implementation of you know, the 2/3 gender rule must be in place. But as my closing remarks, Kenyans need to see us work for them and the service delivery being done. This thing of chest thumping and boasting that we as political party X, we as political party Y, we are the ones who did this, we are the ones that make
Truth
things
is called
happen.
chest thumping these days.
That is not what Kenyans want. Let us not sabotage our leaders indirectly. Leaders who have political goodwill because of this chest thumping and you know, boasting that we are the ones who have come to, you know, create salvation from you know, nowhere. Kenyans need service delivery and your cooperation. We are all Kenyans, and this country as a republic has a government that is mandated to govern, to run, and to do everything service delivery to Kenya. So it is not a question of who did what, who has done what, who came to salvage what situation that is not there or here or there. So let us ensure that we give service delivery through our leaders, effective service delivery to Kenyans.
Thank you very much. You know what I love about this is because you've given your utmost feeling and contribution to Kenyans. And for the people who've called, they've also given you their perspective. And thank you so much for being a part of the show. Asante sana. We've done much more than we were supposed to do today because kama ni tamu tunafanya nini, tunaendelea nayo. Thank you so much. Brian Oduor is a political analyst. From here is going to
Dagoretti North.
Dagoretti. The president is supposed to be there. I am expecting you. I say, usikuja hapa next time without anything.
Sikuji tena.
So
on a lighter note,
you know that he's not just visiting Dagoretti North. He is visiting a number of constituencies, including Westlands.
Yeah,
including
so he's visiting a number of
schools
of circuit and all that.
On the JSS scheme. So he's visiting a number of schools.
Of course, we'll update you on how it goes. Thank you so much. Kevin Osido. Kevin Osido is Executive Director of County Governors Watch. Thank you so much for being part of the show. And Mwalimu Wilson Sosion is also a former nominated member of Parliament. The only lady in the house is Salma Ochieng, who is a lawyer and a political analyst. You know what? My name is Victor Law. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Let me leave you by one quote. Man becomes great exactly in the degree in which he works for the welfare of his fellow men. That is regards to what they've said here in as far as service delivery is concerned. Have a good morning. My name is Victor Law. Bye-bye.
Wellness is important in our daily lives so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. People they don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers.
Stay well and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Ibada ambayo ni rahisi sana katika mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhani ni kufunga. Ndio ibada nyepesi zaidi kwa sababu unasusia tu chakula, japo njaa huwa na ugumu wake. Lakini kuna mambo mengine ambayo ni magumu zaidi kuliko kushinda bila kula.
Idha dakhala Ramadan, pindi Ramadhani inapokuwa ni yenye kuingia, futihat abwabul janna, milango ya janna Allah huifungua milango yote 8 kwa ajili yetu sisi. Milango 8 inafunguliwa kwa ajili yetu sisi kwa sababu ndani ya mwezi wa Ramadhan baraka nyingi.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, this morning we've been having male-led conversations, and it's only right for us to switch things up right now. The segment on air right now is Women at the Forefront, where we bring you women from this country who are doing exemplary well in the different fields that they are in. Today is no different. I have with me a lady by the name of Brenda Ogutu. Brenda Ogutu is the Associate Engagement Director at Busara, and her interest is in research in behavioral economics, and her focus mainly is on citizen empowerment and governance, particularly in women leadership. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you on the show, and it's time for us to bring at least some female energy in this, right?
I was wondering where's the female vibe? There's a lot of male-dominated conversations, but I'm happy to be
here. All right, here we are now. Let us begin with you just explaining to us what behavioral economics is first.
Yeah, so behavioral science, behavioral economics is the study of human decision making. So as you know from macroecon, we talk about rational human decision making, that people know what's good for them. They, for example, would want to keep fit, as we all have come up with goals in January, but the intention to do an action is not usually the same as completing the action. So behavioral science tells us that we have biases in our decision making. So we try to understand, what are those barriers? What are those biases, be it social norms, be it, risk aversion, what is preventing us from doing that, what is good for us. So that is the study of, basically understanding that and being able to bridge that gap between the intention and the action. So we intervene with different ways. We, first of all, understand what the problem is with the community and then co-design solutions and basically test what works, given that now we understand what is preventing them from, acting in the way that they should.
I hear you on that, definitely. And now, today's conversation, I wanted to be, I wanted to incline more on women, and specifically on women taking up space. Women taking up space in leadership, women taking up space financially, women taking up space, generally just women taking up a space, right? So maybe what sparked your interest in getting into this, because this is what you are passionate about?
Yeah, so my background is in urban planning, and a lot of that is includes research. We are basically in the process of making development plans. We go into the ground, like conduct public participation events, talk to people, understand their needs, their priorities, and then in turn, put that into the development plan. Though sometimes you go to the field and you do not see people coming to attend those community meetings or attend those public engagements. So I basically felt that I should focus my energy on getting people to understand the need for getting your voices heard, because for all the services that we are fighting for, like from the government, we want health services, we want, inclusion and all of this, it can only happen if you put your voice to it. So even the policy process, we require people to come and participate and tell us their views in order for us to actually make policies that are inclusive. So I felt the need to now go into research, but more targeted to empowering citizens to engage, particularly youth and women who were at that time, because it's been quite a while, were not so included in these civic activities. So, there was not enough data to show how much women are involved, and I thought, use my skills in research. I do really love unearthing solutions and digging data to find out how we can better use that for solutions. So that is how I transitioned from urban planning, which is still a good passion for me, and I still intend to use behavioral science to improve that sector. But for now, using my skills to research and find out the gaps that we have in youth and women or citizens, involvement in policy making the process.
Yeah, and just to pick up on that, maybe what are some of these gaps? What are some of these barriers that maybe you may say are preventing women from taking leadership roles in policy, in this policy making spaces, and also just in economic spaces?
And generally, so typically I can talk about, we have structural barriers, the typical ones are, finance or not having time and all of that. But for my job as a behavioral scientist, we try to look at the behavioral barriers as well. I can give an example of social norms. Typically women are more thought of for gender roles, you should be in the house, take care of the children. And sometimes it kind of gets to you and you start, thinking that's my role. So the higher you grow and the less time you have, because there will be less time as you're taking up more leadership roles, you tend to start becoming a little more comfortable so that you don't have enough time for leadership. So the gender roles kind of affect you, even your mindset. So we try to figure out how to change that mindset and give people confidence, or give women confidence to take up, leadership roles. So, and even in terms of social norms, people tend to think that leadership roles are for men, because they're more confident, they're more assertive. If a female is like that, it might come off different than if a man like talks in a certain way. So females tend to not want to be seen as that, you know, more assertive and all of that. But we're trying to break that barrier so that, you know, women can feel more confident to take up roles. And now we see more role models. I think with social media, it's a good trend in terms, one good thing I can say about social media is that now women are more likely to see other women in those positions. It's not enough. We still need more role models.
Absolutely.
And more opportunities to see women in leadership. But I can say that, you know, you're more likely to see a woman, even that this platform to give me to at least show other women that this can be done is one way that you can start like breaking those barriers. And even just in terms of conditioning, typically women thought of themselves as in the service industry or not really STEM or technical, economic types of work. So it's more of now starting to gain that confidence that you can go into STEM, you can go into economics, you can go into policy making because you have enough to offer. So just to breaking that bias form yourself, can go a really long way.
Yeah, and just maybe to pick up on the societal norms, maybe just how has this changed, specifically societal perception of women, especially in taking up leadership roles? How would you say that has changed maybe over the past decade or two? Are we headed to the right direction? Are we at a place where you can say that, okay, compared to how the perception was 2 decades ago, and now we are at least making some steps?
I can say we are making some steps because I do see more women in leadership. Like some of the policies we've had for like gender quota in political seats, for example. Although I will say that we do need better implementation in that case, but even having such a policy can at least push people to see that women can do that. So even the nominated seats, and you see women doing good jobs and good work, it inspires other women to also take up this role. So the change in the way, even as I mentioned, the digital economy, like helps us see that women are doing these things. The visibility is a lot more. There's still more definitely that we can do, and we are in terms of like implementation of these policies that we do have. Even companies now give out gender reports on their diversity and inclusion, so you're able to see, they are able to see like how they can do better in terms of including women. So I think even in the private sector, with people doing more to highlight what they do for gender inclusion. Even right now, when you do pitch for research proposals, you will find gender inclusion statements that require us to have a gender-focused mind. Like when you are talking or completing your projects, you have to include females, think about their needs. Even part of the research project itself has to have female in the leadership or even in the project itself. So I think in that way we are doing better, even giving more capital for women to pursue their businesses, to start up their own types of work, or go into business basically. So we have more, like you can see venture capital, you can see a lot more capital going into that area, and that's why I think we can continue to focus more of our energy to give women a chance to start their own businesses, not only formal employment, because that's kind of getting congested. So you even empower women to be leads in their own businesses.
And in line with that, maybe just how can cooperatives, what role do they have in this, and how can they now work on empowering more women financially?
Yeah, I think the cooperative movement has a lot of potential. It was put on the back burner for a while, but it has a lot of potential in that it allows women, for example, and I'm talking about strong cooperatives that are resilient and sustainable. Part of my work is we partner with civil society organizations for them to empower cooperatives. And in that way, we are able to get women more access to capital. They can start their own businesses, access to market, because a strong cooperative is able to market itself and bring in more business. So women are able to get jobs. And then in terms of savings, they're able to save more. Some of the cooperative principles include, equity and equality, which if a cooperative adheres to, they're able to include women in the leadership, in the boards, because typically less women are in the boards of not just cooperatives, like typically most organizations. So if we help them to be sustainable and resilient, they then adhere to these principles and allow women to take up leadership roles. And when that happens, definitely women are able to advocate for their own rights and their own needs within like the cooperative, and be able to empower other women from the grassroots to do better.
Yeah, and also in all of this, maybe what role do men play? And I'll say men allies. You know, what role do men allies, you know, need to play in all of this?
Yeah, if I can make it a little personal, like some of the challenges women have, like I mentioned, is striking that work-life balance, because typically the gender role is the domestic burden or care burden is on females. So I think men should now, which they are, a lot of them are taking up more responsibility on sharing that care burden as they should, and supporting women to build their skills, to build their capacity. I think once we are able to share the burden domestically, share the burden in the community, and even men themselves, like not empowering, but like more so educating their peers and other men to understand the benefits that a woman brings to society, which is, I guess, a human benefit that we bring to society. So we do have a lot of male allies, definitely. Yeah, I'm here because there's somebody obviously like supporting me, and the male community, the male members of the community being there for me and for everyone else. So that definitely is one way for us to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you know, there's this statement that is usually made that I really don't like. You know, they say that women are their worst enemies. So maybe what would you say, or what would be your take on women fostering more collaboration rather than competition?
Yeah, I know there's that saying which I also don't like.
Yeah.
Actually, I lead a all-female team right now, and we build each other and, you know, work together really well. It's more of being professional in their capacities. So there are different networking events where women can learn from each other. Actually, when you were talking about cooperative, I thought of the event that's coming up on 7th March, where it's a luncheon for women to come together, specifically cooperative women, to learn from each other. I think we should, if you're in a position of leadership, you have the responsibility of pulling up other women, you know. In my role right now, I need to be able to mentor people below me and mentor youth, so that because I've already gone through the journey, I can already like identify what worked and what didn't. And now it's my role to definitely take that down to other youth and specifically women, so that they can see what's been done and what's not been done. Because, you know, the issue is that you think it's going to be hard, it's not going to. Okay, fine. It will be hard, because anything is going, like that. If you're breaking barriers, going to be hard. But there are definitely a lot of opportunities right now. Skills building, all of that can help us. And yeah, it's our role as women to empower the women, or to show them the way, basically, that you have already gone through, instead of having them go through the whole struggle that you also went through.
Exactly, and it is doable. You know, as much as the opportunities are there, it's also, I think, proper to just let the younger women know that these things are doable. You know, they are not just men-led. You know, also women can also get into some of these boards and institutions, and also just be able to do it. Yeah. So maybe what would you say are some initiatives or policies that have been working, you know, that have been effective when we talk about matters women, and also what are some that you feel should be put in place, and also if implemented would really work for women of this country?
Yeah, definitely the gender quota can, if implemented correctly, can work for getting more women in the public service boards, in private boards, or even just leadership in general. I feel like if we implement that policy, it will be good. And talking about different programs on digital and financial literacy, even for women in rural areas or even lower income areas who are typically not reached by this. So I feel like if we implement these policies, but especially also in marginalized areas that we typically sometimes forget about, that can go a long way. And this inclusion of gender perspective in programs or in projects, be it public or private, I feel like has been doing a good thing in getting us to think about gender, because right from the start of the project or the program, you're able to see, like, you know, where can I include more women? we need them in a board so they can make the better decisions. So not in terms of like having just one woman to give you perspective, but like actually having women whose votes matter in the work. And then I was speaking a lot about, the work-life balance. I think companies now are really doing well in terms of, I don't want to say really for everyone, but they're starting to do well in terms of like parental policy.
Yeah.
One good trend I think is the hybrid work or even remote work allows women to, you can lead and also do your domestic chores if you want to, depending on your arrangement within the domestic house. But that parental equal pay, I think there needs to be transparency in payment, so that, because I think one of the challenges as women is we don't want to push so much, you don't want to come off so aggressive, which I would actually tell women to start to be advocating for their own rights. But one way as we are doing that is also to be transparent. So I don't want to come to a company and start saying, please pay me X. No, you'll just be like, this is what everyone in this position is paid. And I think companies are starting to do that. And policies regarding equal pay definitely would go a long way in getting women to be in those leadership positions. Yeah.
Are there any, maybe one or two success stories that you are willing to share with us, where research and behavioral science has led to a tangible improvement, of women in leadership and their economic growth as well?
Yeah, so part of my work, as you mentioned, I work in the governance sector or portfolio, and part of my work is strengthening the capacity of civil society organizations in order for them to empower citizens and even the cooperatives. So one of my greater partners is working with cooperatives, and our research or partnered research has led to a cooperative measurement resilience index. So ways for us to measure the resilience of cooperatives, but not as us as the research assistants. We empower them to be the ones who actually understand their resilience. So in terms of behavioral science is helping our CSO to understand how to do research, how to better target their communities. And then two is to empower them to understand the human decision-making process. So another resource I can talk about is our low-cost message testing guide, which we developed in order to assist our CSOs to know how to communicate better, communicate policies, communicate needs, communicate to the citizens and all of that. So we have resources that we've developed and are working with CSOs to implement. So the CRMI, which I was talking about, has enabled us to work with over 50 cooperatives through our partner, and they're able to understand their resilience and then improve. So we did a longitudinal study that is in the research to understand how this index has supported them. And you can find that cooperatives come and tell you, we didn't know that we don't have enough gender. We didn't know that we need to do CSR. We're not doing enough CSR, because a lot of these cooperative principles and values lead to their sustainability. So through our research and understanding their needs and everything and how they make the decision, we're able to develop tools and resources that they can actually use. And even right now, our partner has a digital platform where now cooperatives can do that. As you know, we're moving to a digital world, and most of the cooperatives are still in rural areas or are engaged in activities that they don't have the opportunity to go into digital. So we are trying to improve their capacity in that way so they can see the need, because part of our work is convincing, having interventions that allow them to see the barriers and be able to break those barriers. So we are able to do that through these resources. I think that's one success story of the resources that we are currently we are implementing in the longer term, because change doesn't come. I wouldn't say we change behaviors in a day or two or one project. It can't happen overnight, of course. No, it's several years that we've been partnering with CSOs.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Now, maybe as we almost come to a conclusion of this conversation, would you say that the younger generation of women now, who are also you and me, the younger generation of women now are more open to taking up space? There has been a conversation on, women are being empowered more now, that the boy child is being forgotten. Would you say that's the case, or you feel like women still have a long way to go in terms of empowerment? And are we ready now to take up space as the younger generation of women, even the ones that are behind us, the Gen Zs and the alphas that are just coming up? Yeah.
Yes, I feel like women right now are more comfortable and confident. There's still a lot. I feel like, in terms of gender, male versus female, we still need to be more visible, like get more confident and all of that. So I wouldn't say that the male child is being forgotten. Maybe I'm being, I don't know what's going to happen with the men watching, but I do feel like we still can do a lot more for our women in terms of empowering them. And I do appreciate all that's being done, you know, pushing them into STEM, helping them understand this civic education a lot more right now. And like I mentioned, all those capital and grants and everything, trying to push women. But we are taking up more space, and I'm starting to see a lot more women. I almost forgot I'm youth, because I'm still also looking at like the people above us, and I like to see the progress so far, but hoping to see even more, you know. But we're doing, I would say, I personally feel like we're doing better, because even, you know, our organizations right now have a little bit more. I'm going to say a little bit more, because it's still a lot more men in the high positions, but we're starting to creep up on them.
All right, now maybe what innovations or what trends are you really excited for in the future? You know, matters what we've been talking about, that is economic development for women.
Yeah, so we have, we are now more digital, there's more social media. I feel like we can take advantage of online businesses, like a lot more women are able to market and have businesses online. So I like that, and even in terms of digital literacy and financial inclusion, right now we are able to empower women to understand financial services, be able to take part in the digital economy. So I feel like we are headed in the direction that we should be right now. Okay. You had touched on the Women in Cops networking luncheon. Kindly just tell us a bit about when it's going to be happening, and maybe where, for the woman who may be watching and would love to come on board. Yes, so we have a women's luncheon that's coming up. Well, I'm going to say we, because I feel like I'm part of the cooperative movement right now through research, and it will be happening on 7th March. We will have different women from different spaces in Kenya. It's going to be around, obviously, International Women's Day, so we want to use that opportunity to bring women together in a space of networking. So like I mentioned, networking is one way for women to see other women do good and, you know, share ideas and share everything. So this is an opportunity to come together with women and discuss all of that.
All right. Final question to you is just for you to speak to the young lady. As you said, this is women at the forefront, and the main basis of this segment is just to get to inspire a woman who's out there. Maybe what advice would you give to a young lady who's watching us right now and it feels like they want to step up now and take up space, you know, in leadership, in economic development and all of that? Just a word for them.
Yes. If you have an inkling that you want to step up, I think do it. Because I think we have the tendency to want to be perfect in the current role. You want to have all the skills that you can have in the current role before you challenge yourself to go to the next one. So I would encourage women to like just push yourself and be visible. Another thing about visibility is that you need people to see what you can do. You know, I may be able to do really good work, but nobody knows. So I think be more visible, showcase your talent. Now we have LinkedIn, you can even showcase what you can do and what you have. And the same LinkedIn with other platforms allow you to build your skills. So don't wait to, you know, get the job and then build your skills. As you are stepping up, also you're building your skills. Be ready for the next position before it arrives. So I think that will allow women to, you know, have the skills and everything, even taking informal leadership roles within your community. So we're not waiting to just be, let's say, an MP. You can just lead by being you and do those leadership roles within your community, even within your organization. You know, there are those activities that companies usually do and ask, okay, who wants to lead? And, you know, if you're trying to be a leader, I think that's one way to be visible, to take part in such activities. And even as you are growing into these roles, recognizing that, yes, there will be competing needs and priorities, but yeah, you can do it. So just push yourself, advocate for yourself.
All right, thank you so much.
you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with our music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Mshtakiwa, nifahamishe majina yako kamili.
Kwani hiyo wakati yote tumekaa hapa hivi umeniita majina, haujachua hata jina yangu hata saa hii mwezi. Who is receptionist?
Ni mimi.
Ni rest in peace.
Nani rest in peace?
Sorry, my condolences mheshimiwa.
Wewe unaongea nini?
Ni wewe naongelesha
wewe. Ongea kile unaelewa, acha kutupotezea wakati.
Nikisema ya kwamba huyu ndiye alitoka na hizo vitu ndani ya room, nitafanya sema ni wangu majibu. Nilikwambia hiyo si nilikwambia hiyo karatasi imepikwa.